Good evening, all. Welcome to the latest episode of the Endless Celts Podcast. We are on episode 184 now, creeping up on that 200. We'll hate to get one of the couple of century shirts or something like that. Creeping up now 200. It's not just a normal pod. Big one today. Big build up to the cup final on Sunday. Stephen's back. How are we doing, mate?
All good, all good. It's been a manic couple of weeks, and you all know, but I might as well tell everybody, me and my partner welcomed a baby girl into the world, and it's just been crazy getting things settled and sorted. Hospital trips, staying overnight, her becoming unwell, but all's looking up now, and we're all getting there, and it's just a beautiful time. And now we're looking forward to the Celtic match against Sevco in the Fab Play League Cup final, Willie.
And he's been tuning in still every pod, dying to get his word in, and he's back chatting now. We've got Ross here as well. How we doing, mate?
I'm good, mate. I'm just admiring your all new surroundings there. Absolutely superb. It's looking well.
As well, Ross, a big thank you to you because you've got this all sorted for me. But I got the shirts.
But you've added the wee touches there. I like it. It's looking the part. But buzzing to be on the night and looking ahead to what is probably our biggest game of the season. So, it is.
I think Ged might be having some audio problems, so I'll let him deal with that.
I didn't even click there.
Can you not hear us, Ged?
That's not.
I don't think he can even hear us, can he? I think he waved.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear it?
Can you hear?
We'll jump on and we'll carry on and just see if he can. If he can sort it. Cup final weekend. This is the longest fucking week of my life. It's dragged in. Honestly, absolutely dragged in. And then it's not even like the Saturday, so I can't even get buzzing the day. I'm just going to mope about like the what's the thingy? What's the meme with the boys sitting about? The big famous.
Oh, on the bench.
Oh, the Narcos guy. What do you call him again?
I can't mind his name. I forgot his name. That's going to be me all day tomorrow, anyway.
How do you not mind his name? There he is.
There he is, Ged. Aye, we can hear you. It's a bit jumpy, but we can hear you.
Aye. I don't know what happened there. Sorry.
That's all right. That's totally
We're all
right.
good.
I've just introduced the other two, so the secret's out. Jed's on the night. It was big drama last time, and everybody was loving his chat and his input, so we've got him back on the night. How are you, Ged?
I'm great, Wally. Thank you. Just thought, what's happened there? I'm not good with technology. My daughter had to come running up the stair there to try and fix it for me.
You're all right. You're all the exact same with technology, to be fair. There's been
very true.
Journey to the final. I was saying, I'm going to be like Escobar tomorrow. Can't wait.
Escobar, that's it.
Sitting about, just staring at was, waiting for tomorrow. On a Sunday. So I thought the first piece we could go through is just the journey to the final. I'll just kind of go through the game. So our first game we played was Ross County, and I think this was a game that it was the first time he kind of made, like, it pretty much changed the whole first 11. That was when Seagrass was in, Welsh and all that came in, and I think that's maybe the start. I don't know if it's a fair point, Ged. I'll come to you. That's the start of kind of showing us about the squad depth at the time. We completely changed the 11 and we got a 4-1 victory.
I know, because Jens was playing that game, and Stephen, you won't want to hear this, mate. This is the game that Aaron Moy was outstanding. Never from there, he just went on, and it was a very, very good performance. So it was. I mean, I think it was McGregor got the first, Giacomakis, Forrest got one.
Aye,
Forrest, aye.
And Maeda got one as well.
Can't remember who got 4-1, but I thought we were outstanding when you look, because like you say, Seagrass was in goals for that game. He was in goals for the next game, but then got injured, so he's not been in when we played the semi-final. He wasn't in goals.
That's interesting, actually. Do you think, is he back fit?
I don't think he is.
No, is he not?
No, because that would be interesting if he was fit again.
Never really gave that a thought.
I know he was running about Instagram taking pictures of his missus in all these different countries. I think he's meant to be injured, so I don't know what's going on. He's a maverick, that guy. An absolute maverick.
Fair play. Stephen, I think we made like 10, 11 changes that game. It obviously didn't work the next again time. Ange did it, and it was our only domestic defeat this season. Do you think that made them kind of step back and say, oh, because since then it's been 2 or 3 changes here, but there's never been wholesale changes.
I mean, to be fair, like that game in particular up at Ross County was probably meant to be, on paper, one of the most difficult ties we could have had in a cup game because it's a one-off tie and obviously anything can happen. But the squad depth, as you said, and Ged alluded to the fact that Aaron Moy had a cracking game. And I mean, let's be fair, but I have given praise the last couple of weeks. So when he's good, I'll praise him. When he's shit, I'll give him at both barrels like I always do. But I think that the whole squad depth thing's interesting because I'm looking at the goal scorers here. Giakoumakis, for one, no longer with us. And he's actually said in both his Atlanta press conferences pointing to how bad that position is in the SPFL and saying, thanks very much, man, saying that there's going to be different champions in the MLS. And a lot of people took umbrage to what he said, but in theory, he's right. These teams and these oppositions Celtic should be beating them quite easily. Let's be fair. And most of the teams show up with a low block. And he scored in that game. Maeda scored. James Forrest, who's been in and out. He started the last Glasgow Derby game out of the blue. Don't know what Ange was thinking there because he was absolutely terrible. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. But the squad depth thing is something we have. I think what Ange has learned, especially against St Mirren, I'm saying what Ange has learned, like I'm a philosopher, but you know what I mean? I think what he's kind of took back and he's thought to himself, maybe if we're going to make changes, drop 3 or 4 out instead of 6 or 7 because the continuity of a team can be disrupted. The flow of a team can be disrupted. So if you keep in your key core players and kind of build around that with different players coming in, whether it's Moy, whether it's McCarthy or whoever it may be coming into the team, then it should do better. But as you said, the Ross County game, it was pivotal to the fact that, as I said at the beginning, it could have been a hard one up there. Do you know what I mean? It's Dingwall's tough for us to go. Ralston got that last minute winner last season, and different things have happened for Celtic at that ground. But yeah, to come away 4-1 with effectively a second string side was brilliant.
Aye, excellent. I think it was an interesting point. I'd like to hear Ross's opinions on that as well about how he's made wholesale changes there. I think the only other time was St Mirren, and then it's kind of not happened since. Even though we did have a run of games where it was every 2 or 3 days we were playing. But I'll go into the next game first of all. We then got Motherwell, scored another 4 goals. I'd like to hear your opinion on that, Ross, as well. They're just scoring goals for fun. I feel like it doesn't matter if we go 2 or 3 down. You still think we're in with a chance of winning the game because we're just that free flowing. But that game was Abada with a double, Hatate and Kyogo. But we've been free scoring, and just a wee opinion on the wholesale changes. And do you think that St Mirren kind of gave him a bit of frightened because he's not made a massive amount of changes like that since?
Well, in terms of that, I think it, again, like Stephen, I'm not here to tell Ange what to do, but I think off the back of the St Mirren game, he has learned. I think at the time when we lost that game, that people started to question, was the depth as good? I think, obviously, in the time since then, I think it's been proved that the depth is as good, but it's good in the sense of bringing 3 substitutes on. But you can't tinker too much with that main 11. Obviously, bar, we'll probably come on to it later on, talking about the lineup predictions, but there's a couple of positions where you could argue, does Abada come in? Does Maeda drop out? Does Jota drop out? Does O'Reilly come in? And does Moy drop out? Things like that. But in general, you've got to stick with what we all perceive, I would say, as our strongest 11, bar 1 or 2. Obviously, I've said that would be up for debate. I think he has learned that you can't totally change the team. And me and you at the time, Wally, made the argument off the back of the Ross County game that we've just spoke about there.
Aye.
In the sense that we were saying, well, it's maybe know that because he made all the changes there and it worked. You don't know, but I think he's took a stance now where I'm not taking that chance again. He got his fingers burnt, if you like, so he's not going to take a chance on that again. So I'm quite happy the way he's going about it now, and he's sticking with the same 11 for the most part. But all the guys are still getting game time. All the guys that are on, not even the periphery, because the way he even talks in his interviews, he talks as if, well, if he gets asked the question, is this guy on the fringes? And he's like, well, no, they're all part of the squad. I can't remember the exact words, but I've heard him talking like that.
Yep.
But in terms of, like, say, the Motherwell game, the Ross County game, I think the 2 games, they two games are very similar. They went in a similar vein to how recent games have went. Like say the St Mirren game where we won 5-1. You got a couple of, maybe that's a bad example because we're only up 1-0, but you got a couple of goals in front early on, and then later on the game sort of levels out a bit, and then you think, oh, this is going to be a hassle-free 2-0, as Franny says. But then again, you bring guys on. Even when we started with the perceived weaker team, you brought guys on the Ross County game, and it gave you that lift, and we got a couple of late goals. The Motherwell game, we started with a stronger team. You brought guys on, and then you got later goals again. I think Hatate maybe got the third, and like inside the sixth, it was about 50 odd minutes, but you sort of get my sentiments in the sense that there was that middle part of the game where it didn't quite totally click, but then you make the subs, and that's what we're doing now. There's a couple of games it's not totally clicked in the middle part of the game, and I think I was going to say tomorrow, Sunday, I think we have to be on our guard about that, because I think Celtic will start fast and strong, but that middle part of the game, similar to the game at Ibrox, we can't let it level out. We need to keep our levels all the time, or we could get caught out like we did. But in terms of the games, 2 Premier League opposition, and we disposed of them with absolute ease. And what is it, three teams we've played for the Premier League, and we've made light work of them all.
Well, that's interesting you say that, because I'm going to go into the next game, which is the semi-final, Jed, and I think it was a bit of a different game than the other two. A 2-0, a comfortable 2-0 win in the end, like Ross is saying, Franny says, but it was a bit of a different performance. Kelly came out a bit more. I think we got quite a fortunate goal with Maeda, but it was wonderful to see Lafferty hitting it. And then a late farewell goal in the end by Gigi. It was a bit of a different performance, that semi-final.
Yeah, but memory serves me right, but was it not absolutely pouring?
Aye, it was awful. And the Hampden Park was horrendous as well.
Conditions were terrible. Kilmarnock went off to a flying start, because Hart made a decent save. But after that, I just felt we did control the game. And like you said, the guy for Lafferty to make that mistake was just fantastic. And then Giacomo scored in injury time to just finish the game off. That was his last goal for the club. And that's him, no more.
Not bad farewell, to be fair.
But also as well, when you mentioned we've played three Premier League teams, we've scored 10 goals. 10 goals in the 3 games. Conceded 1. So you take an average, 3.3. I know. You'll take 3.3 goals this Sunday.
Aye.
Aye. That right, you would.
I think we might get there. We'll go into that later, but I think we might get there. But
by the way, sorry, Willie, see that just talking about the Kyle Lafferty mistake. Was that his final act in Scottish football?
Aye.
Well, yeah, because he is at a club. He's at a club where I live now, Linfield, literally up the street, up the road from me. And what's funny about that thing? Remember, McInnes was doing he was doing star jumps outside his office.
Aye.
Sorry, but fuck off, Laverty. You're shite. You're playing in the Irish League now. You're muck. We are absolute muck.
That was the best, because the media and the whole build-up to it was that he's obviously served his 10-game ban for the old sectarian singing and all the rest of it, and it was his first game back, written in the stars, all the rest of it. He's been doing star jumps outside the office, and then he's went and made that mistake and got hooked at half-time. Brilliant. But, Ross, Jed made a great point there about how you mentioned it, 3 Premier League teams, but we've scored 10 goals. Not only that, 10 goals in the 3 games, it's 7 different scorers.
Is that right?
Which I think is pretty.
That's some research.
What we've been doing all season in the league. Also, the leagues are the goals are kind of spread out, and again, it shows the depth. What did you think of that game, the semi-final, and what about that start? I mean, 10 goals is incredible, but for 7 different scorers as well.
Aye, that's brilliant, and that again, that sort of shows the threat, the attacking options we've got from midfield to front, and even I can't remember the scorers. I don't know if one of them was a defender or that, but aye, the options we've got from middle to front are unbelievable. And in terms of that game, I think obviously Kilmarnock, they did have a bit of a go. It was a semi-final. It was a one-off game. You expect them to do that, and they did start the game well. Celtic didn't, but then they got the goal, took control of the game. They made a lot of chances. It wasn't like they missed gilt-edged chances throughout the match, but like Ged said, they controlled the game. And then towards the end again, where they weren't really seeing the game out, they were still playing their football, but it wasn't always coming off. And Kilmarnock get that possible penalty. Again, I said at the time I didn't think it was a penalty. I still maintain that. But it's one of the ones that's right on the edge. I totally understand why guys think it is a penalty and why some think it isn't. It's one of the ones, it could go either way. It goes Celtic's way for once, and then we go up the park, Giakoumakis. I think that was that his final goal for Celtic? Possibly. I think it was. I mean,
is it no? I don't know. I mean, after that, did
you put your team into a final and then you leave. It's bittersweet, but it's just what he's all about, scoring goals. Aye, but that's what he was all about. And again, in the end, you have to say it was a comfortable 2-0 win, but that possible penalty sort of makes it allowed people to build a false narrative that the game was tighter than it actually was. Derek McInnes like asking for the referee to do his job and stuff like that. I mean, come on. Celtic had, and I know Derek McInnes is not involved in every one of them, but the amount of bad decisions that went against Celtic, that was right on the edge. It could have went either way. We got it. It wasn't one where it's absolutely blatant that Celtic haven't got it or have been given against them. So I wasn't too fussed. We got the win. We're in the final, and we've got a big day on Sunday to look ahead to.
Aye, absolutely, mate. Just the last thing in that game, Stephen, GG's farewell. Do you think, I don't know if we've kind of touched on it much since, because it was kind of out with the transfer window that he's gone, but do you think it's bittersweet? Do you think most fans kind of have went the other way, kind of Brendan Rodgers' way, and ousting him and right, yeah, away you go anyway? Or do you think it's kind of like a bittersweet moment where it's like, I wish we kept hold of him?
I think, like, in terms of the game itself, we're going to Giakoumakis. As Jed said, the pitch was horrible. Remember, we were on the next day after, and the pitch was absolutely horrendous. And hopefully, it's fixed for this showpiece final that everyone's trying to portray, the media's trying to put across. But in terms of Giakoumakis, I think what a lot of people struggle to cope with is the truth he's saying. He's went to the MLS, and the first couple of press conferences he does, you know what the media do over here, they try and blow it up, make a headline. When you read his quotes, you read his quotes, and he's just basically saying that Celtic are expected to win every game. Teams play a low block, and he's looking forward to playing in a league with more space and more opportunities to score goals, which is fair enough. And we all know the Scottish League isn't the best, and it's up to the teams around us to improve. It's not up to Celtic to improve the rest of the teams in Scottish football. I think the shite talk that you get from managers about budgets and about things and about players, about who you have at disposal, it's an excuse culture that their players in their squads fall under as well, because they see the games against the big two, so to speak, as ones that they can take a free hit. And if I was a fan of Hearts or Dundee United or Hibs and my manager said that, I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You go out and you play and you try and win. You don't make excuses about budgets. I mean, I know we go into Champions League, and to be fair, we do talk about budgets and awful lot, but we're expected to compete. We don't go in being like the budget's one thing, but we put the playing side to another. If you're on the pitch, 11 against 11, anything can happen. And Scottish football sometimes, for me, falls into its own downfall with feeling sorry for ourselves. We don't have the best facilities, best training grounds, best infrastructure. It's up to the owners of them respective clubs to improve their teams. Celtic can only be where they're at. And if teams play for low block, and players will get bored of that and want to move on, it's just the natural product of the game. I've seen it with so many players over the years. You know what I mean? Giakoumakis, to me, he was fatal in that running last season when Kyogo got injured.
Yep.
Absolutely fatal. And probably without him, let's be honest, it may not have went as easily as it did in the end, because didn't have Kyogo back until the latter end of the season. And then who would you play in the middle? So I'll always respect him for what he done. He's not a Celtic legend by any means, but he scored a lot of meaningful goals, one-touch finishes, bicycle kicks, hat-tricks. A good striker while he was here, and I thought he did the shirt justice. And I do wish him well at Atlanta, and I don't think the comparisons or people taking what he said in the media. Like, come on, like, what do you want them to say? The Scottish League is amazing. The Scottish League pish. It's absolutely pish.
I love it when Steve.
I've said before as well, the Scottish League gets put down all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
I know it's a farmers' league and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Liverpool got an absolute football lesson off Real Madrid after going 2-0.
They did, yeah.
Up. Yep. You know, I mean, I watch a lot of English football. Some of the games, it would put you to sleep.
Aye, dross.
You know, I watched the Motherwell Hearts game on Sunday. Now, from a pure neutral, was it the greatest game of football? No, but I enjoyed it. You know, it was action, but I enjoyed it. I think we, including myself, we do put Scottish football down a lot, but there are actually some decent games. It's no Barcelona, Real Madrid. That's no kid yourself, but we're actually not bad.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not putting the football landscape down in general. But what I'm saying is, it's aye. It's the mainstream media. You ever listen to like your man Cundy and Talk Sport or people in Sky Sports? I mean, the Sky Sports coverage of the Scottish League is absolutely shambolic, and we're expected to pay top dollar to watch them give us our football, and it's absolutely shocking. But what I meant in general was that, like, you see managers like McInnes, Martindale, Lee Johnson, Robbie Nielsen. It's a free hit. We'll go in. Do you know what I mean? If you want to build a reputation, you go into these games like, trying to win. Do you know what I mean? You try and put what you have out there on the pitch, and bit of expansive football. You've got the players to do it, and I just think sometimes, as I said, there's the Scottish League and Scottish football teams have been it are their own downfall at times, and that's why the product, especially when they get into European football. I mean, Motherwell getting beat by Sligo Rovers. Jesus Christ, Sligo Rovers aren't even the best team in the League of Ireland. They're middle six, if even that. So, like, come on, there has to be an upward kind of trend here with the Scottish League, or other players like Jack and Mackles will throw the head up and be like, I want out of here.
Yeah, I love it when Stevens on.
Rumours are true. To backtrack and not leave. And Ange says, no, you told me you were going, so I've got a boy coming in. Bang.
Yep. Aye.
So,
aye, absolutely.
It couldn't have been that bad for him if he wanted to stay again.
Mm-hmm. Aye, I don't think he's not wanted to leave because Scottish football's shite. He's wanted to leave because he's want more game time. Like Ged says, he might possibly be on more money. I don't know, but I don't think it was in terms of the Scottish League. I think it was just game time and feeling underappreciated, if you like. No for the fans by any stretch, but I mean it's difficult for me. I'm just surmising. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, because I dare say I don't think Ange would make you feel underappreciated.
No, I think for me, possibly.
The same token, he did also come out and say, like, I'm not here to make your cups of tea and all that. You're like, you're well off. Mm-hmm. You're at one of the biggest clubs in the world. Do your job. So, like, I know that's not the way football nowadays. But it's an interesting one. But you asked Stephen about Gigi's last goal, and it ends up like a half-hour rant about the state of Scottish football. Which is
but that's what the record or all the newspapers blew up in their headlines. That's what they ran with. Do you know what I mean?
Because what they actually said, it was really interesting. Because I seen the headline on, it was on Facebook or something. I was flicking through, and it was the record, and the headline was Giakoumakis hits back at Celtic and says that he's going to a more competitive league. And then when I went in and read the actual, and by the way, I looked at the comments and everybody was like, good riddance, all the rest of it. And then when I looked at the quotes for him, it was genuinely like, I'm coming to a league where a new team wins it every season. It's more competitive in the fact that there's more than one or two teams going for the championship. He's never said anything negative towards Celtic in any way. And by the way, they talk about Farmers League. Has anybody out with Man City or Liverpool won the Premier League in the last 6-7 years or something? How long ago has it been since it was a Man City or a Liverpool?
Aye.
But that's not a
Chelsea.
Farmers League.
Leicester.
Aye,
Leicester was
been, what, 6
2016. I think Leicester was 2016 or 17.
Yeah, it was.
So you're talking about a Farmers League being a league that only one or two teams win every season. Well, that's what's happening in the Premier League right now. So, nonsense. Anyway, let's move on to...
Hopefully Arsenal win it,
though. Ross, I'll come to you first on this one. And it's these awkward photo opportunities with with Ange and Mr. Beale that we've had coming in. I think it's been, and again, the media, you could tell Ange just wasn't wanting to be there at all. I've seen loads of wee memes where memes where it's pictures of the two of them, and it's like the two people that didn't like each other at the headmaster's office and all the rest of it, because the two of them just weren't even looking at each other. Interesting, the media getting involved again. How did you feel about it, putting them together just to get this photo opportunity?
I thought it was, well, if Celtic were playing Hibs, for talking's sake, in the final, and they put Ange and Lee Johnson together, I would find it weird. I would find it, what is the point? So to put Beale and Ange together is like totally bizarre. It was. I don't know who suggested it, and when he did suggest it, that he wasn't fucked out the meeting, and I don't know who agreed to it. It was just a total weird one, and it was needless. Both managers didn't want to be there, but I think Beale probably put on the better face and made it look like he was interested. I mean, people could read in to their facial expressions to the, what are we reading here? It's covered in blood. And by the way, that is summed up perfectly. What an analogy. But people will try and read into their facial expressions and their all that kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? And draw their own analogies for it. Nobody's officially going to know how the two of them felt, but for me, it was weird, it was needless. But at the same time, for a sort of media point of view and bigging up the game, it's got everybody talking about it more.
Yep. That would be brilliant. Right across the table for each other.
Oh, that'd be good. Or Sutton and Beale.
You'll get on to all that later on as well.
But very, very weird situation. But again, obviously, for a promotional sort of point of view, similar to what Russell's just said there, in terms of promoting the game, it's got everybody talking about it even more, and it's, well, more so that than the actual game, but it's keeping the attention. Not that it needs to keep the attention on it, but I mean, people are watching this build up and will be watching the game all around the globe, and I just felt it was a wee bit embarrassing.
Aye. Ged, what were your thoughts now? Obviously, there's been a bit of needling going on between the two, and kind of with this Beale, Beale giving it this lucky man thing recently, and Ange has been kind of throwing a few clips in about the whole lucky man thing going back and forth. You think the media were just trying to get them together and hoping for a bit of fireworks?
I do think. I think it was, but you know what it looked like? A married couple going to marriage guidance counselling. I didn't want to be there. Embarrassing. It was if Postecoglou was like that. Is that tit really sitting next to me? Beale, I can see when I look at Beale, I think he can explode at the touchline a bit like Lennon, where Ange is more calm and everything, and he's trying to get one over on Ange. And the worst mistake he's ever done is trying to go in with Chris Sutton. Chris Sutton will destroy him. I mean, you've seen him when he's been on, when BT Sports had the coverage. He would just put people in their place. He's quite an intimidating guy, Chris Sutton. Yep. And Beale, somebody needs to pull him aside and say, look, don't take Chris Sutton on. He's on Radio 5 Live, he's got national, you can say that. He's on Twitter all the time. I mean, that comment about stop making a mountain out of a molehill.
Oh, that was absolute genius, man.
That's what you're up against. So, Beale, you're still young, learn from it, and just sit back.
I think he's a bit out of his depth of the whole mind games. It's a bit like Keegan going up against Ferguson back in the day. But I think that's a perfect analogy of the two of them. And Beale's definitely the one, if that's the case, that's wanting to go to marriage counselling because he was there, and Ange's the one that's sitting like, oh, she's fucking made me go. Stephen, what's your thoughts on the whole situation, the whole photo opportunity?
I've never seen a bigger push from the mainstream media to get a manager liked more than they do with Beale. I've never ever seen it. They push this guy to the hilt like he's the next messiah, and they have the cheek to put him up against Postecoglou like they're on the same pedestal or the same planet in terms of coaching and managing the football team. The photos going around is incredible. I mean, yeah, that was a cracker. The whole marriage counselling thing and that's unbelievable. Like, and I've seen the whole body language experts were coming in saying Michael Beale was dominant. He was head up, shoulders back, wearing a suit, and Postecoglou slumped over, disinterested. He was probably disinterested because he's sitting beside the biggest bastard in football right now in terms of Michael Beale. Do you know what I mean? This guy is nowhere near the pedigree of Postecoglou. He's managed QPR in the Championship. He ditched him at the first time of asking. He's came to Rangers, well, Sevco Rangers, whatever people want to call them, whatever your preference is. Yeah, he's unbeaten in that, but again, it's the type of teams he's up against. They're expected to win these games. The goal difference, he always bangs on about he inherited a 9-point disadvantage. Well, in terms of the 9 points, that's remained the same, and the goal difference has got bigger. So the guy has, the man to me has a inferiority complex. He's trying to be something he's not. And I think what's more telling about this whole situation is he has no control over his players at the minute at Ibrox or Tesco's, whatever it was going to be. I mean, Sakala coming out with stupid comments about when we play Celtic, we want to hurt them, we want to destroy them, and we're the best team, we'll prove we're the best team. And then other players, Raskin, that he's only signed for the club in the January transfer window, saying they're the best team in Scotland. I mean, I know Giakoumakis did it, but Giakoumakis said one line. Sakala went on a full rant, a full article about how they're the best team in Scotland, how this should have happened, how Gerrard should have won whatever amount of trophies. And if I was Beale in that situation, like Beale, to me, we all know he's got coaching credentials, right? That's fair enough. Everyone who's worked with him said he's a great coach. But he doesn't strike me the type of person who's saying to his players, look, put a bit of wind in the newspapers here, put a bit of wind in the media. He doesn't seem to be that kind of character. I know he said some things to Ange in terms of being lucky in that, but I think you want to keep the rest in-house. But Sakala, he's basically done the team talk for Celtic. He's done the whole, he's hyped the boys up and saying all that kind of, we want to destroy you stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's mental. And the photo situation again, it's trying to make it a competition between them two. I've never seen them, even when Gerrard was here, when Rodgers was here, they didn't get a big push like Beale's getting. Beale has came into this Rangers club and he's been hailed literally as the next massive manager coming out of football, a tactician expert. He knows his players really well and all this, blah, blah, blah. And then Postecoglou, it's like he's looking at this guy being like, why the hell they put me up against him? Why did they make me go into this room and sit in these crappy chairs and get pictures done for 5 minutes? And again, I might say something controversial here, but I'm just going to say it because I've loved being on tonight. So I think what we heard during the week, and I know I'm going to get heat in this, from the Australian pundit guy, Andy Maher, who is close to Postecoglou, there is no smoke without fire in that comment, and he would not have said something if he didn't have wind of anything. And I think there is.
You're fully winded, Patch.
No. I mean, let's be fair here, Ross. The Leeds United signed your man Javier Garcia on a flexible contract. Do you know what I mean? And the rumours we're hearing is obviously at the end of the season. I would not be surprised if something happens. And I don't want Ange to leave, but this CS mainstream media, bollocks in Scotland, I'd want to leave. It's an absolute joke.
Well, can I sort of push back a wee bit? I know they've signed him on a flexible contract and it's only to the end of the season. But if he keeps them up, Leeds give him the job. If he goes down, Leeds don't give him the job. But Ange doesn't take the Leeds job in the Championship. So I'm not worried.
No, the way I look at it, why did a close kind of friend of his say that? I don't understand why he would find it interesting to go into a paper or whatever.
Sometimes guys just say things. He just keep himself. He's just want to keep himself current. I'm in the know. I hear guys say you go into like forums and that on Sunday morning, and there'll be guys saying that Starfelt starting up front. His Moz and his Doug dealt him their defence when they were hanging the washing it. I'm in the know. All that nonsense. This guys just want to. I'm in the know. I'm better than you. I ken this guy.
Also,
shut up, mate.
And if he was so close to Postecoglou is always, everything is all about, he keeps everything in-house. I'm not commenting on that. If it's one of his closest friends, they're not going to be giving that out, surely. What were you going to say, Jed?
But, I mean, Stephen, you could be 100% right. He could be going. But if he does go, he will go he won't go halfway.
Yeah.
But I do believe he wants another crack at Europe.
100%.
He wants to right the wrong from this season. Because let's be honest, we put in going forward will look fantastic, but we let ourselves down at times. And I think he wants another crack at it with some. We're going to have new players in again. There'll be players moving on. That's what I'm hoping. That's going to. He's wanting to stay because as a Champions League team going to come up in England, I don't think so. Man City going to get rid of their manager. Is Liverpool going to get rid of their manager? Arsenal, Man United, no. So where is he going to go? Europe.
But this is the thing. Like I'm not really the comment has come across like I think he's definitely going to leave, right? What I'm trying to say, there's no smoke without fire with these comments. There has to be something that, do you know what I mean? Someone said to somebody, and I know people are laughing, and people are. That's fine. I get that.
It's because you do this with any time there's one wee sprinkle of a media. It's like
I would say 9 times out of 10 I'm right. I would say 9. I would say 9 out of 10 times I'm right. 100%.
Do you know what? What's getting me right? Why? Right? This all stems from Rodgers leaving. Everybody thinks a manager's going to leave Celtic now, right?
Trust issues.
Rodgers, aye, it could be, but Rodgers was always going to leave Celtic. It was a stopgap to build his reputation back up, and it was his dream job, which was just an added bonus, if you like. Martin O'Neill came to Celtic, and he spent 5 successful years at Celtic. He left of his own accord, and he went down south. He took a job at Aston Villa. Eventually, Gordon Stratton came in. He'd already worked down south, proved his credentials there, done all right at Coventry and that. He spent, what was it, 4 or 5 years, done a really good job at Celtic, done brilliant. Both of the managers done brilliant in Europe. Nobody came in and took them for Celtic. Nobody big enough, anyway, for me. There was probably offers on the table, but nobody big enough was there for them to leave. Now, managers since, you've got Tony Mowbray. He's never going to get all the offers. You'd Neil Lennon, you'd Ronnie Dyler. These guys were bang average managers. Ange Postecoglou is off the level of a Martin O'Neill. For me, I know that there's the draw for the English Premier League, but why does it need to be that? Why can Postecoglou? He's said it enough times. His dream job was to come and manage a big club in Europe, and he's doing it.
I think that's it.
But Postecoglou's no Rodgers.
Aye, but I thought he was there for the 10. But Rodgers was always going to go. I expected Rodgers to stay for the 10 and go because he had a chance of making history. But he went even earlier than even I expected, and that was the tough part of that, and that really let me down. But why can Ange no be the next Martin O'Neill or the next Gordon Stratton to come in, love working at this club, and he's not done in Europe yet what any of the two of them done. Mm-hmm. He'll want to make his mark at this club, and if Ange Postecoglou leaves at the end of this season, okay, he might win a treble, he might not, right? But if we get to the end of the season, he wins the league, maybe the cup, the cup which we're playing for on Sunday, and then he leaves. As much as he's done amazing in terms of building a squad and that, he doesn't leave a legacy. I think Ange Postecoglou wants to leave Celtic having left a legacy, and I believe that he will be here. I could be wrong, but I believe that he'll be here for 5 seasons, as Martin O'Neill did, as Gordon Stratton did, and he'll make his mark eventually in Europe. It'll be tough, but I believe the way that we play football, that we will make a mark. And I think he will, if he stays that length of time that they guys did, I think we'll see Celtic in the last 16 of the Champions League at some point. I'm not saying we'll go beyond that, but I believe the way Ange plays and the way he's building a squad, that will happen. And I don't think a Leeds United, a blinking Fulham, anything like that. If Ange leaves Celtic, it's got to be another big club with amazing history, in my opinion.
But Ross, the people that's wanting Postecoglou to go is your Rangers fans. Alan McCoist has already said he'll drive down. They're desperate for him to go. This guy, in my opinion, is potentially going to be one of the best managers we've ever had. If he stays. The football that we are playing just now, against Aberdeen and Saturday, there, when I was there, the first half was unbelievable how good we were. In the second half, we slowed down a wee bit. That is the best. It's the best we have played. And even Rodgers, yes, we went unbeaten, but we're winning games 1-0, etc. This is the best football I have seen since Martin O'Neill or Tommy Burns. I mean, never won nothing. Well, Tommy Burns won the cup in 1995. You know, but Ange Postecoglou, I hope he's going to be here next season as well, because the guy.
So do I.
After us, wherever he goes after us, he will win things wherever he goes. He's a proven.
Oh yeah.
And
I agree
that's
with
why the best want him. I know. Sorry.
I know. That was Stephen's fault.
I asked Stephen about I asked him about Ange and Beale getting a photo taken together, and they were talking about fucking Ange leaving the club.
It's been 2 weeks. For 2 or 3 weeks. I need to speak.
You should get a minus sign tattooed on your forehead. Negative.
Anyway, let's move on. That's for another.
Is that?
That's for another podcast. The Postecoglou chat. So let's move on. Stephen's kind of touched on it there as well. But Ged, I'll come back to you. And it's the media build up this week in the chat. He touched on Sakala there, and Beale recently, talking about how they're the better team, and even though they're 9 points behind in the league and countless goals and all the rest of it, but Sakala's saying we're a far better side and we're going to prove it and all the rest of it. Do you think that's what I think Ross said that, or Stephen might have said that that's his team talk, Ange Postecoglou's team talk done? It's adding fuel to the fire.
Of course it is. I mean, if I'm Greg Taylor, I'm rubbing my hands. Sakala had a great second half against Celtic in the 2nd of January game, because you're on to somebody else's shoes on. But do you think he's going to get past Greg Taylor? Not a hope. No. So bring it on. Bring it on. Yes,
and do you think
talk's been done? I mean, that who's the boy that is it? Baskins or something?
Raskin.
Played against Livingston and another team. 110 minutes, and he's now decided that they're the best team. Let's just play. Aye. Let's just play a wee bit more. I mean, Sunday. There's a good chance he won't even be playing on Sunday.
Aye.
Because let's be honest, Lundstrom and that's going to go back. So, but Sakala's going to start. So it'll be interesting who's going to clatter him first.
And how do you feel? See if the shoe was another foot, and that was just for example, that was Matt O'Reilly saying that about the opposition, and we were in the same position. Do you think Ange would be standing for that?
No chance.
Nah,
no chance.
Not at all, is it? I think that talks about the whole naivety you've been talking about with Beale earlier on, that he's still maybe a bit naive in this, and he's definitely, I think, Ross, the more and more I hear Beale speaking, the more and more I think he's digging himself a hole.
Well, he can't even get fact right. He's saying they've won 2 trophies, the same as Celtic.
Aye. Come on, you know. They haven't.
But Ross, I think he's a bit out of his depth. I think every time he's speaking, it's a bit cringe.
I don't know if he's out of his depth as a manager, because you have to give him credit and say he's come in and he's unbeaten. In terms of with the media, he doesn't. Carol Baskins. In terms of with the media, I don't think he's not got that same aura. He's not got that same aura as Ange has. He doesn't carry himself the same way. Now, that comes with the person you are and experience, which he lacks. As much as he likes to talk like he's done everything in the game, he lacks experience, and he's not. For me, Ange Postecoglou is an elite manager. Michael Beale, isn't he? Mm-hmm. When Gerrard was a player, right, I absolutely loved the guy, right? Silent shortage.
Some of the part of the night.
Sake, I know it's
part of
on
the night, by the
point.
way.
Yeah.
I mean, Gerrard was the Ranger. The what?
You'll need to get drug tested tonight, coming away with statements like that.
Aye, what was I saying? Aye,
said
so
that Ange's an elite manager. And
aye, when Gerrard was a player, I absolutely loved him. Right, he came in at Rangers as the manager, and the way he carried himself, again, he was inexperienced, and I know I'm not expecting him to show Celtic absolute respect, right? But Martin O'Neill came in at Celtic, and one of the first things he said, Rangers are the benchmark, because they were the dominant team. He acknowledged that, and then he went and done what he done. Gerrard came in, didn't do any of that. Was very disrespectful. He was massive ego for when he was a player. I thought, and I didn't like him. I hated the guy as a manager. And then obviously Van Bronckhorst came in, again inexperienced in terms of when you put him up against Ange. But you couldn't help but like that guy. He showed that bit of respect. And I know that probably the Rangers fans will think different. They would rather their manager was like Gerrard. But I don't think you need to be that arrogant. And that's what Beale's doing. I don't think you need to be that arrogant. Ange is fully experienced. He doesn't come in and talk about Rangers and disrespect them and say this, lucky that, this and all the rest of it. He just goes, I can't talk about that. I can talk about us.
Yeah.
And there's not many managers in the game do that, by the way.
no.
But he does it every single time.
Remember as well, when Van Bronckhorst was here, they had mutual respect for one another. And
Absolutely, aye.
Yeah, there was quite a few times they were out for meals together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they did have the respect. I mean, if they went out for a meal, if him and Beale went out, Beale would be getting a happy meal because he's acting like a kid.
Ange doesn't have any respect for Beale, and it stems from calling him a lucky man. And Ange doesn't react to many things, but he has had a couple of I don't want to say flippant comments, but wee niggles. And people have said, oh, he's got under his skin. No, he's not got under his skin at all.
No.
It's a couple of wee niggles just to say,
Aye.
I came what you said, I'm here, I'm aware of it, and just watch your back.
I think as well, like see the switch. Sorry, Ross. See the switch in terms of the media press conferences. Every first or second question to Postecoglou is about Michael Beale's press conference, and it's like, what are you talking about? He doesn't need to address what Michael Beale said. That's his own issue, and Ross nailed it. Postecoglou wants to focus on Celtic, focus on what he can do, and as Ross rightly said, there are people going he's under his skin and all this pish, and you can go back to the whole Geo time and Barry Ferguson saying he's got him figured out and then he got sacked by them, do you know what I mean? So all this media garbage that they're trying to spout about Michael Beale, you can tell it's got me riled up. If I'm building this up, lads, it's absolutely, it's just shambolic, and I think it's disrespectful to Postecoglou.
Yeah, you're bang on. I mean, if you look when Ange's getting interviewed, he just doesn't want to be there. When he first came, remember the BBC Scotland guy? What was it when we got knocked out of Europe? It's a disaster or something like that. And I went, what do you mean?
Catastrophe.
No one's died. But when you see him getting interviewed by the Australian media, or after we played St Mirren, when Gordon Strachan and Chris Amalugo were speaking to him, they could see he was more relaxed because he knew they weren't trying to put him in, trip him up and anything like that. And he was smiling. You seen the press conference the other day, it was on for about 20 minutes. I don't think he smiled one. He doesn't want to be there. Aye. He feels as though the press is trying to trip him up, make him look bad for his headlines. So he's not giving.
They don't ask questions about football. And when he gets asked questions about football, like you say, Ged, Gordon Strachan, Wally, you spoke about it the other week. Gordon Strachan was talking to him quite in depth, and you could see he was really enjoying that. You could see a different demeanour talking about it. But when guys are coming in saying, "Oh, Michael Beale said this and said that," and like, I don't know. And even sometimes when they do try and ask him questions about football, and he's like, "But still, that question's a bit of shit," and you can see him thinking, like, why the fuck is he at? And he just goes, nah, not really, mate. It's like, that's the worst Australian accent ever, by the way.
That's terrible. That is.
But you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. He just can't. It looks like he can't be, like you said, Jed. It looks like he can't be arsed with it, and he can't.
I think especially
Because it's
recently.
nonsense.
I think recently, especially, it's been obviously St. John Kennedy the other week there. I thought that was genius as well, because that was right where all the rumours with Leeds were going, and it was quite a good move. But even recently, you can tell that the other week there, he's just exacerbated his. The boy asked him, I think it was something that Martindale said, and he genuinely went. He was like, "Do you think I watch every other manager's press conferences and listen to what they say? I'm not interested in what any of them are saying. I'm here to do my job." You can tell he's getting frustrated, growingly frustrated, and he's got every right to bite back. Because
I'll Joe Pesky you know.
But they say right, Ross.
Right.
They say right, aye.
But I think that Beale's making himself look very, very silly getting involved, like Jed said, especially with the likes of Sutton and stuff. He's making himself look very, very, very silly, and he's like, you can't get, especially with guys with a bit of patter, you can't go up against Sutton because he'll just have a wee quick one-liner and that's you. You look like a fool, and that's what's been happening. But
he's one breakdown away from Pedro Casinha. That's literally he's one breakdown away. Like, he's mental, that guy. Honestly,
I just think it's
that
interesting.
Was actually Irish accent, Steve.
I just put this on.
I can't even mind what I was going to say. No,
sorry.
So with the likes of Sakala and all that, do you think that's on the back of how Beale's been acting recently, Jed? Do you think he would have made that comment 6 weeks ago, or do you think it's because Beale's been coming out and been very vocal that these guys are thinking, well, the gaffer's doing it, I'm going to have a pop as well?
I think so. Yeah, like you said earlier, if O'Reilly or that had said something like that, I'm sure Ange would have pulled him in the room and given him a little slap and say, "No, we don't do that here. We'll do our talking in the park."
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, I totally agree.
They're just trying to as a boxing match now. Is it? Is it the Fury?
No.
Squaring up to one another. Come on, that's what Ange can't be bothered. He just wants. It's another game. Yes, there's more press in it this week. He's just trying to be professional, tell the players to be professional. Let's do our talking in the patch. And that's what I hope he does. Hope they do that.
Absolutely.
By the way, sorry, Jed.
No, we'd all love to be giving them an absolute doing on Sunday. But, 1-0. A lucky 1-0, and say that. Imagine Ange saying that it's a lucky 1-0. It would be brilliant. Look, let's do the talking in the pitch on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%.
I think as well, when you obviously touching on Sakala, talking like that, you've got Raskin coming out and saying what he said. I can't mind exactly what he said, but similar vein to Sakala.
I know here, Carol Baskin now, man.
But you've got that side of it, right? And it's like Celtic are ahead in the league, right? And obviously, being a Celtic fan, I'm going to say they're the bigger club, they're the better team, etc. To counteract what Sakala said. But they're come out and making all this noise quite close to the game. And you've got Carter Vickers the day getting asked in his press conference what he thinks of the comments. And he just goes, I've not got a problem with it. Elaborates a wee bit, but the gist of it was, I've not got a problem with it. And for me, it's like Rangers are making all this noise. They're like what Man City were coming when they were building, and they were the noisy neighbours. Rangers are trying to make this noise. They're trying to get under the skin of the Celtic players and take their minds off playing their football, because I think Rangers, they believe that they can't beat Celtic at pure football. And I think they're trying to get under the skin, knock them off their game, knock their focus off, and make them think about tit for tat stuff in the media before the game. We'll get them caught up in that. They'll maybe not be quite at it, but Ange will not allow that. He said it I think it was either early this season or in last season. We don't look over the fence at our neighbours. We concentrate on ourselves and look after our garden. And that's what they'll be doing right now. All that noise that's coming for them, you can make all the noise you want. These players are focused. Ange is focused. The whole team will be focused on Sunday. And all that noise that went before, even the team talk, I don't even know if Ange will use that. I don't think he needs to use it. I think you just need to keep telling them to do what they've been doing all season. But if he wants to use it, it's another wee bit of fuel to the fire. But I really don't think he will use it. I don't think it's his style. I don't. Obviously, the players have heard it. He doesn't need to tell them. The players know. And the players know what they're capable of and what the team is capable of. I just can't wait for Sunday and keep making all the noises you want.
I think Ange is that clever. I think Ange is that clever. He could say something in the dressing room without actually like quoting what they're saying on the other side. He would say something
as well,
and like just sounding it out rather than just going out there and saying, "Look, this is a quote. This is what he said. This is what he said." He'll say something quite sly, and the boys will be like, "Right, aye." What are you saying? Sorry, Stephen.
I think as well. I was cutting you off, really. Sorry. I think as well. What goes under notice there from his press conference? I think one of the reporters actually asked him, "What's been the mood like in Lennoxtown?" And again, he said it. He doesn't know because he hasn't been in the dressing room.
Never in the dressing
room.
So
I mean, that's how much responsibility he puts on the players. And that's how much he trusts the squad that he has. And that's why I'm backtracking here to Sakala and Raskin. And you look at the situation within their camp. I wouldn't really be happy with my players coming out and saying them types of statements. I mean, we weren't happy. We called out Jack and Macas at the time when he said it. But
I don't think Giacomakis was as like he
was. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad. No.
And by the way,
he said that for a position of strength.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Ross, I want Stephen and Jed's opinion on this as well. I want to hear because I think this could go like 50-50 in the sort of fan base. But Sakala's use of the term "the other mob." Now, if that was one of your guys, let's just use Matt O'Reilly again as an example. I reckon that you've got a good amount of support that'll be like, yes, he's fucking said that about them and all the rest of it. And then there's going to be a massive amount of support that are absolutely embarrassed that he's actually came out and said that. What side of the fence would you be sitting on if that was one of your guys saying that? And what did you think of Sakala saying that as well?
In terms of Sakala saying it, me as a fan, I wasn't too bothered. I sort of gave a wry smile to it as if to say, I think I would have felt differently if we weren't playing as well as we're playing.
Aye.
But because we're such a well-drilled unit, I'm like, I gave a wry smile and thought, just wait till Sunday and we'll see what happens. But if one of your players, when Giacomakis said something, wasn't anything to the level of that, but when he said last season, at first I sort of cringed a bit. I was like, didn't he say things like that to come back to bite you? But in the end, he followed it through, and he said he proved that we were the best team.
Yeah,
I think Rangers have put, in my opinion, I think they've put themselves under more pressure now because they need to follow that through. Not they, but certainly Sakala. I think he needs to follow that through and have a big game. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be left with egg in his face. Okay, if the rest of the team get him through the game or whatever, if he doesn't have a great game and they get the win, he gets away with it. But if I was a Rangers player, I know I'm going off of the question here a wee bit. If I was a Rangers player and I was his teammate, I would be like, "Come on, man! Like there's no need for that." I was listening to Clyde one phone in the other night, and they were saying, "Oh, one of the teammates have stitched him up." I'd be saying to the teammate then, you shouldn't have done that. Mm-hmm. You're under pressure now because the whole everybody's watching us, thinking that we think we're the best team. I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about it. I would feel okay with it, probably coming for the position we're in now. But if we were in Rangers' position, and one of our players were saying that,
Aye.
Bhoys would be in the belly cringing.
What do you think, Stephen? Do you agree with what Ross is saying? Do you think it would be different if it was if they were in the position we're in and he's used that term? What did you think of what he said, and what do you think if it was like one of your players saying that as well, calling him the other mob?
Well, I mean, first of all, can I just say, like, this has been a brilliant podcast so far. I've been such a laugh, and I'm glad to be back on again. And I've never been really looking forward to Glasgow Derby as much as I have in a couple of years. Like, I'm just buzzing for it, and it seems like a long week for it to win. But Sakala, to me, if the Rangers players are playing pranks on their teammates during this week of a cup final, as Ross said, you'd be like, why you're fucking necking? Do you know what I mean? We're here to train, be professional, and try and give Celtic a game if they can do that. Sakala's come out and said it, right? That's fair enough. It's done and dusted now. He said it. It's in the news. His quotes are there. Using the term the other mob, if we're technical about it, if Celtic used the term the other mob, we could kind of get away with it because it's not the real Rangers, if you get me. So what name are they really going under? Do you know what I mean? So you could kind of throw a couple of names at them and it could stick. But it's just pure disrespect. And Giakoumakis, going back to last season, did say we're the best team in the league. But as Ross said, his arrogance at the time, some of us were like, poof. But he followed it through big time. He took us to the fucking league title as a striker for us in that final end of the season. But Sakala, it's just kind of, as you said, Willie, if he doesn't turn up and like you, Ross, and have a big game, then he's literally just put egg in his face, and he's put his teammates in a position where now they put themselves under more pressure if you're coming out with them statements. And I find it madness that Beale would let him away with that, or anyone in their coaching staff or anyone around them would let them go on to a newspaper and say them types of things. It's incredible, but here, more fool them. So that's what I say. Bring it on.
Jed, I think Stephen's right. I think it's the term probably is a bit disrespectful, and especially, I don't know if you remember quite early on in Beale's Rangers career, managerial career, he kind of used the term the other team, and he got pelters for it, and he had to come out in the press and actually he said, "Listen, that was out of order. You have twisted that. I didn't mean it that way. I can quite happily say the word Celtic. I respect everything that Ange's done. The team's playing brilliant football. They're well ahead of us in the league, all the rest of it." And so he's came out afterwards and kind of... So it's quite interesting that Sakala's done that. But what do you think of the comment, first of all? And again, do you think if it was on, the shoe was on the other foot, as a fan, you'd be cheering the player on for saying it, or do you think you'd be a bit embarrassed?
I think you would always think, part of really, what did you say that for? This could come back and bite us big time. Yeah. I mean, I'm not bothered about him saying the other mob. I just personally believe it puts a lot of pressure on him to perform on Sunday. And like I say, if Taylor puts a good challenge in first, he's going to shite his Celtic run at him. And then the fans, his own fans are going to get on his back. So he's put all the pressure on himself when he didn't need to. But Beale should have held it. Somebody should have held him in. And then the next, whoever was doing, I think Tavernier the day, I'm sure Tavernier could have said, look, we're playing Celtic. It's not the other mob. Just try and calm it down. Even Barry Ferguson has come out and said that was a silly thing to say. Mm-hmm. Silly thing. So for him to say that, Barry Ferguson did that. He did say, look, you show respect, but when you're on the field playing them, that's respect's out the window. But up until then, so he did feel as though he was out of order what he said. So, like I say, roll on Sunday. Let's see how you can cope.
Absolutely. Right, we've still got loads to go through.
Let's go.
I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on to Ange's presser, which is a complete 360 on what Beale and the other mobs pressers have been like. Anyway, so like we've said, he never ever comments on the Rangers. If he's asked a question, he'll be like, "I'm not interested in what they're doing or what that manager's doing. I'm just what we're doing." It's a far cry for what Beale does. He gets embroiled. He's been getting embroiled in everything in the media for the last 6 weeks. I don't know. Some people would respect the fact that he'll answer a question openly, but I think he's been a bit disrespectful quite a lot. So you would never see that for Ange. And Jed, he kind of talked in the presser about how the whole squad's been so consistent, especially since the World Cup break. It's not just 11 players that go out. It's what's the guys that have come on and replaced them, and he's kind of said that it's not just 2 players carrying the team. If like nobody can play to their peak ability every single game, even Messi's and all that don't do that. And when these guys haven't, there's been somebody else to come in and take their place, and there's not a drop in form. And do you think that's a fair assessment?
Yeah, I must admit, when I heard that comment, I was really pleased they said that about, a couple of players are off their game. There's other guys who can come in and help out. And as this is how I've said for weeks and weeks, it is the best squad we have had. It's even better than the Martin O'Neill squad. It's not a better first 11, but it's a better squad.
That's a fair point.
The biggest thing I took from the conference, his press, was when he talked about an experienced pilot.
Aye.
When he said, I've been doing this for 26 years. A pilot knows what they're doing after 6 years. I'm experienced. He kept, retraining experience. And he is.
Aye.
I mean, the guy is, people tend to forget he was national team coach of Australia as well.
Aye. At World Cups.
Australia, Japan, national. And he's won something. He won a big tournament when he was with Australia. Every club he's been at, he's won something.
Yep.
The guy's a winner. The guy is an experienced. And for me, the press conference was how we use all the squad. And the bit, I've done it for 26 years. I know what I'm doing.
Yep. Absolutely spot on. Ross, you kind of talked about, like I said, how consistent the squad has been, and there's not a drop-off when somebody else has come on, which is interesting. Earlier on, we were kind of talking about how Gigi kind of felt underappreciated, but it doesn't seem like that way in the media. He's not just championing 1 or 2 players. I think he could quite easily. I mean, can't stop raving about Hatate. I think he's the best thing since sliced bread, and every performance every week. I reckon if he was doing that for Beale would be singling him out and giving him praise. But Ange doesn't do that. He kind of throws a blanket over the whole squad, and kind of, like I said in that first podcast, Stephen, when Ange, I feel like every time he's on that telly talking about our club, he's giving me a big cuddle and saying, "Listen, I've got this. I've sorted out your club." But I think it's a fair point what he said about the consistency of the whole squad.
To be honest with you, I watched that today and I can't mind of that bit. But I mean, in terms of, he just says the right things all the time, Ange. It's experience, like Jed's just talking about there. He's calmness personified, and in terms of talking about singling out Hatate or that, it's a collective. In terms of the way we play on the pitch, it's a collective. What's that?
I'm not sure about that, by the way.
I don't know. We'll never know.
Aye. Man O'Neill's first 11 is better than their first 11. But we've got a better squad now.
Aye, that's what Jed was saying. He's not saying the first 11's better. He's saying the squad of players. Like if you take, like right now, you take Kyogo, Jota, and Maeda off, and you're bringing on Abada, Haksabanovic, and there's not a massive drop off. You take Larson, Sutton, and Hartson off Martin O'Neill's team. Who you got?
Yeah,
Burchell, Tommy Johnson, and
Mo Salah.
I think that was Jed's point. That like, if these guys aren't performing, there's guys right behind them that'll do just as good a job. And Martin O'Neill's team, I don't think that was the case.
Aye, no, but what I will say is, I think this team are more enjoyable to watch.
Oh yes,
I don't think that's up for discussion. Yeah. But what was I saying?
Aye, sorry,
I know it's all right. Just touching on a comment there, involving the guys, but in terms of we were talking about Hatate and how you were saying he doesn't sort of single him out, and I was just saying it's the same on the field. Like, it's a collective in the way we play. It's a full unit. It doesn't work. You might get away with it now and again, but for the most part, it doesn't work on individual performances. I know guys like Hatate stand out at times, but it's still that collective unit. Hatate can do everything he wants, but if the whole team's not pressing at the right time, winning the ball high, for Hatate pick up the ball in dangerous areas, then it doesn't work. Hatate can't carry the team on his own. He has the team has to do the things round about him for to be able to perform the way he does. And I think that's why Ange doesn't single guys out, because of the way they play on the park. That's the message he's probably relaying to the guys, not so much in the changing room because he doesn't go there, but on the training field, things like that. I just think that's how he's built this squad. I think that's the morals and the beliefs that they sort of go forward on, if you like, in terms of being a footballer. And I think that Ange, I don't know if all of the guys had that in them. I think Ange has instilled it in a lot of them. He's maybe not quite been able to quite instill that into Giakoumakis because I think when you're a striker, it's all about goals. People judge you in goals as a striker, and Giakoumakis was scoring goals, and the fans loved him.
Yep.
And I think it was difficult for Ange to keep him happy because Giakoumakis knows he's scoring goals, but yet he still couldn't get in the team, and he maybe couldn't quite accept. I know I'm sort of deviating for the question there, but
no.
He maybe couldn't quite accept because he was doing what he perceives as his job. But again, I go back to it. He was doing what was perceived as his job, and he'd done it against Rangers. And I think it was Russell Bhoys put a comment in earlier. If he was still here, I'd probably be looking for him to start. Against Rangers. But in most of the games, the way Celtic play, Kyogo was better for it, and he was scoring goals as well. I don't know if that was how it was hard for him to instill that in Giakoumakis, but I think he has instilled it throughout the squad, and it's just how we play. And it's the guy is top drawer, and he's got everybody thinking the exact same way as him and believing. And you hear guys like Cal McGregor, etc. They talk the same way as Ange.
Yeah.
Their football. That's all you hear. It's great.
I couldn't agree more. But and going on to that, like Ange always says the right thing. I always say, imagine being Ange's wife. You can never win an argument because he always knows what to say and he's got the right thing to say. But Stephen, he kind of went on as well. We've had the squad consistency kind of he talked about, but he also, I think he was asked a question sort of about how he's feeling about the game and if he's nervous and all the rest of it. And I don't know the exact quote, but he kind of came out with saying like, I'm not a fan of this club. He says, I've got an affinity and I'm here and I'm a fan now, but I'm not these guys. This is these guys' lives. I can't have that head on when I'm nervous or all the rest of it. I need to be focused. I need to set up the team right. We need to train well and all the rest of it. And that's what I'm going to do. Like, what more can you say? It just puts you right at ease, makes you feel super confident. All the players must be feeling 10 foot tall, surely.
I mean, to be fair, if he didn't have a job in management, he could write postcards or something, or greetings cards. That's the way he speaks and the way he comes across is incredible. Like, in terms of the comments and stuff, and Franny said it before, and we've all said a lot of ex-managers or whoever it may be said a lot of birthday card pish. But with Postecoglou, he means everything he says. And the whole comment there about, I think it was the support, the commentator asked him, are you nervous? Are you feeling emotion? That type of stuff. And he's like, the supporters aren't paying me to feel emotion, or they're not wanting me to feel emotion. They're wanting me to have the team focused, ready, calm, and collected to go into this fierce atmosphere, which is going to be Hampden on Sunday. Obviously, kind of paraphrasing what he said because I can't remember it word for word. But it's just that kind of, it's like, puts you at ease, doesn't it? He's not flapping. He's not like running about, like mincing his words, not knowing what to say. He's got everything calm, coordinated, calculated. He says what he wants to say. He lets people what he wants them to know, and it goes no further than that. And I think what Ged said as well about the pilot thing, the guy he managed Australia in 2 World Cups. He won the Asian Championship with Australia, the J League, the A League. You know what I mean, cups in different locations around the world. So I think that was probably a wee dig at Beale there, kind of subconsciously saying he's a pilot, he knows what he's doing, he's been around the block in these type of atmospheres. And I think it goes down to the players as well, because you see like post-match interviews, if just for example Moy gets man of the match and he has one of them awful interviews that he does, but he always says that it's the team. And it's the same with the likes of Vickers. They never take the individual praise. They put it on the team as well because it's a collective unit. And as Ross said, every part of that team needs to be working as a unit because if one falls, the majority of the team's going to fall. And he made a great point about Hatate. Hatate only plays like that because of the way the team wins the ball back, high up the pitch, counter presses, passes it to him, he creates the magic. If that doesn't happen, then we've seen it in Europe, it's a goal. So it's about that cohesion, the unit, and I think it filters down. We talk about the culture. I mean, if you cast your mind back, the dreadful 10 in a row season, or what should have been that season, the infamous picture of Brownie and Lenny lying on a sun lounger in Dubai drinking a beer. It's a far cry from what shambles we had back then till now. And I think it's just Postecoglou, it's Harry Kewell, it's John Kennedy, it's Gavin Strachan, it's Stevie Woods. Whoever you want to give praise, they've built the culture. And yeah, the majority of them guys were around when we had that shambles. We questioned why they're still there. But if Postecoglou didn't want them, they would be in the door. So they must be doing something around the club in terms of the infrastructure. And you have Darren O'Day and Steve McManus managing the Celtic B team. So everything's filtering down. And it's what I love to see. Everyone's on the same page. There's no, remember the whole rumours there was a mole leaking the Celtic lineup to the press 24 hours before matches and all. That's all gone now. All that poison has been removed from the atmosphere. It may not be as feel good as we think it is. Obviously, players argue and stuff, which is a competitive sport. We have to have arguments, but the way the team's going, Postecoglou has the media at the end of his finger. He knows how to play them. And as you said, Willie, your famous phrase, it's like a big cuddle from the big man. I know what I said previously about no smoke without fire. I think some of the comments are took out of context, but I know what it meant. I love the big man at Celtic, and I hope that continues for a long time.
Excuse me, absolutely. And it kind of the presser obviously continued on, and I can't remember the question he was exactly asked, Ged, but it was kind of about how he's enjoyed his time here and he's coaching this team, and again he's always got his feet in the ground, and like you said, he's managed in World Cups with Australia, and he's I think because he's came from that side of the water, it's like everybody kind of dismisses his credentials a bit, and with a wee smile on his face, and you don't see him smiling often, but he kind of said that he enjoys the hard graft to building a side, and no one can quite see what he's trying to do yet. And he loves that kind of side of things. And it's just, again, kind of him, his mentality, and he loves proving people wrong. And by God, has he done that with building this side? And I think he was absolutely spot on with that comment with what he's done so far for us.
I mean, I think, yeah, you're bang on. What he did say as well about how he's there early, every day, and at the next time, getting things on the training field, getting things prepared. If you remember going back to when he first came and the club released the audio of him training, you stop at half time, then you stop at full time, and the passing, it was the Ange ball came from there.
Yeah.
And look, let's be honest, we're lucky to have the guy. We're lucky to it. And to me, the players must look at it. He must give inspiration to these guys. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the documentary of the Australian national team and what these players were saying about Moy at the time, Rogic, etc. And they couldn't speak highly enough. And if you go back as well, when we won the league at Tannadice, when Jack Juranovic says that we're getting tomorrow off, if Lutz could kill
That's right.
Everybody knows who the boss is.
Yeah.
And that's why he gets out.
Me. And again, I think he was saying he's in early. He knows what he's doing. This was him getting over the press. He knows what he's doing. He's there. He's out in that training field. Yep. He's not in the dressing room. He lets them deal. He'll let McGregor deal with all of that. But his domain is out in the training ground, putting everything into practice, what he's preaching to them. And by the way, Stephen, see what you said as well about the management team, whether it be Strachan, Kennedy, Neil, whatever. I think also as well, I think the fans have played a massive part.
Yep.
With taking Ange in and the support. I mean, when you see every game now is sold out, and the only spaces it's there season ticket holder is not going, but the tickets it's available to the general public are sold out. So the fans have played a massive part in this, so we're all together. We are all together, and long may it continue.
And there's no need for any of the. There's no need for any of the slogans. The bring back the thunder. I remember when Lennon was in. All that the slogans are horrendous.
We don't need the thunder now. We just need the green wall, the back of the goals. That's what this team needs.
You were saying about you're talking about that documentary, and it's interesting. I mean, there's a wee snippet kind of got released where he's got the Australian side in, and he absolutely tears them a new one, gives them the hairdryer treatment. Like I said, it's interesting. I was watching a podcast earlier on, and it was Ben Foster, the keeper, and he was playing snooker with Stephen Hendry. By the way, it's brilliant. Stephen Hendry's got a YouTube channel. You get on it, he gets people on to play snooker with him and interviews them. It's superb. But Ben Foster was kind of talking about how Alex Ferguson was, and Stephen Hendry kind of asked him about if he ever had the hairdryer treatment for Ferguson, and Foster explained a situation where he got it stinking, and he was like, but the players don't take to that anymore. It's a different breed, and he's not sure if Ferguson would succeed as much as he would, as much as he did if he was a manager coming through now. But I mean, I think Ange is of that uck, and like Ged said, when he's given that look to Juranovic, and you can see when he's not happy. I mean, Ross, the cup game last year where you could actually hear him screaming, "Don't stop passing it fucking backwards," and all the rest of it. He's definitely, and Ged says he's the first one on the training pitch. The rest of it, he's definitely the old school work, isn't he?
Aye, he leads by example in every aspect of his job, and he spoke about it in his interview. I think he got asked, his press conference. I think he got asked about that. This is the part you love, preparing your players and all the rest of it. And he sort of said, "I love it all. I love it all, mate. I'm in early. Like even when I lose," and he tells the players, like, don't waste a minute of your career because it's a short career. We all know that, but the way, I can't mind the exact words, but it was just amazing the way he spoke. Like, sort of, even like you'll miss it all. You miss the bad games and the good games. You miss, if we win on Sunday, you'll miss that, but it's that's if you get that victory on Sunday, that's they're the type of victories that give you comfort when it's all gone, when you're retired. It was amazing to listen to that. It gave me goosebumps, and the way he talks like that if you're a player, and don't get me wrong, I've not been in many dressing rooms as a player. Do you know what I mean? But if you're a player, right, you stop starting rumours, sir. If you're a player in a dressing room and you're hearing words like that coming from your manager and talking to you about the here and now, but then giving you advice on the future, drawing from his own experience and how he felt, I think that's priceless. And you can only but respect a guy like that. I mean, we're sitting as fans and we watch his interviews, and every one of us, old, young, middle-aged, whatever it may be, hang on. I would have to say, I think for the most days anyway, we all hang on his every word almost, and we're totally drawn in by him, and he just, like, we all exude confidence, and we believe that we're going to win every game. It doesn't matter who we're playing. He does that to us as fans. So what must you feel like as a player in a dressing room, hearing he's in your ear day in, day out? You must, like you say, Willie, you say it all the time, you must feel 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
I feel amazing and privileged to have him leading our club, our team. I don't know how these players must feel, but he's a man manager, he's a man motivator, and we're absolutely blessed to have him.
Absolutely. Even though, like you say, on you go, Ged.
Remember when his first interview when he came to the club? Again, the Scottish media, you weren't even first choice. He went, I don't care. I don't care. He just believed in his. I mean, you've got to mind this guy came on his own. He never brought anybody with him, apart from his family. That came a wee while there. He brought none of his assistants or coaches with him. He used what was there.
Yep.
And then he's brought in Harry Kewell. The guy must have so much self-belief in his own ability, and he pass that over to the team and make their players better. You know, you don't get many guys like that.
No, absolutely. Especially when, like, obviously the rumours wrangled on all fucking summer about Eddie Howe, and the whole hold-up was going to be because he couldn't get his coaching staff in. Ange flew right across the globe in a second to be here, and I thought his answer that first day was brilliant when they said about him being second choice, and he said, "How do you know I was second choice? I could have been third, fourth, or fifth choice. You don't know." Absolutely spot on. Again, he knows exactly what to say at the right time. But Stephen Ross touched on it there, and I thought it was brilliant as well about how he tells the players every day that when doesn't last forever, and you're at one of the biggest clubs ever, and when you retire, you'll miss. He keeps saying that. So when Ange goes in 6 years, he'll say, "By the way, 6 years ago, I said he would go to Leeds." You can mind Chris Wilder was going to be the manager.
Oh, sure, Willie.
You can't shut up because he was over a pint of Lennon. What was I saying there? About the hard graft at the time, and how when you're done, you'll miss it. You'll miss the bad coaches. You'll miss the bad days. You'll miss even the injuries. You'll just miss being around it. Do you think as well? See, when he said that, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just me. Do you think that was a bit of a dig at the likes of GG and all that have moved on, or do you think it's just totally reading too much in it, and he was just saying about how lucky these guys are to be in the position they're in?
I think that the term comes to mind, the grass isn't always greener, isn't it? A lot of players believe when they make that move, they're going to make more money. And yeah, a lot of players right now are financially motivated. That's fair enough. But you look at Postecoglou, and again, I'm going to say it, Willie, great podcast so far. Some amount of talking points is brilliant. But in terms of like Postecoglou, his own career path...
Ross is enjoying it, clearly.
his own career path kind of resonates with what he's saying at the moment, because if you look at his career, part-time team at Melbourne, was a player under Puskas, then Puskas left, he jumped up the manager, led him to success, had bumps up and down his career, went to Greece, failed at Greece, couldn't get a job in Australia for years because of something between him and a pundit were arguing or something like that, or something happened in the underage groups in Australia. He got his big break with Brisbane, won leagues, then he moved up the Australian national team. So a lot of things he's saying is probably from his own personal experience. It's like when your granda or your mum talks to you and is like, life will get better, son. So I mean, it's like, look forward, look up, and it's about life experience. And Postecoglou in a football sense has that in spade loads. And the way he can pass it down to the players, the likes of, if you're Cameron Carter-Vickers, who had a tough time at Tottenham, he's our mainstay. Yeah, 100%, Anthony. And then if you look at the likes of Taylor, people didn't believe in Taylor. He just thought he was going to be a 3 million kind of dud from Kilmarnock. He's brought these players. 100%, me, yeah.
Always right, eh?
But, no, I'm not. But what I'm saying is, Postecoglou is basically drawn from his own life. He's letting the players know that you're going to miss the bad days, because you need the bad days to get to the good days. That sounds so cliche, but you do. You need your bad form. You need your bad transfer moves. You need your bad coaches. I mean, when I was younger, playing football on amateur level in a grass pitch somewhere down the street, I used to slobber all the time to my coach. Do you know what I mean? It's just my personality. But in a professional environment, you wouldn't do that, and you'd feel years later you shouldn't have done that because it might have stifled your development, all that type of stuff. So I think he's speaking sense, and the players from here buying into it, and that's great for us because Jota's still young, Abada's young, O'Reilly's young, so he needs to keep these players looking forward and moving forward.
I think it's really interesting, and I think his outlook in life whether that's his own life experiences, but especially with the way things are nowadays in the modern life and mental health and all the rest of it, Ange's outlook is just incredible. We're all, I mean, there's incredible highs, incredible lows in life. And I always go back to that 3-0 game, under the lights. Hatate scored 2, and we're all in absolute cloud 9. And he's getting interviewed after it, and he says, listen, he's pretty much said life's shit at the moment. There's a lot of shit going on. And if we've got these guys to come in, they pay their hard-earned graft. This is their life, this club. And if we can make them go away, or we can have them for an hour and a half, forgetting all their troubles and having the elation, and then they go away happy, then who says that? If that's Neil Lennon, he's in his pants throwing champagne at everybody at the end of the game, celebrating. and this guy, I mean, his whole outlook, and it's the way you see things, and like I said, your mental strength. Ged said it earlier about when we went out the Champions League early doors, and it's like it's a catastrophe, and a lot of people, if they looked at it that way, and in their head, and the mental side of things, could be that whole down, depressed. He was the polar opposite. He's like, how's it a catastrophe? Nobody's died. Listen, we've went out. Yes, we'll work hard. We'll come back tomorrow on the training pitch, and we'll go again. To have that day in, day out, and I'm sure many people have been going into the workplace, and it's other people, colleagues, are giving it, this is the worst job ever, fuck the rest of that. Something like that going on you has the opposite effect. You start feeling that with yourself, even if you're quite happy in your job, eventually. Ange's that complete polar opposite. Even on the down days, he can give you one wee phrase and just walk away and have you feeling, like we said, 10 feet tall.
Chest bag.
Absolutely magic. I mean, the best thing that's ever happened to us, and definitely in recent times, is us not getting Eddie Howe in and us getting this guy in, because like Ged said, I think, I mean, he's been here a short time and he's quickly becoming my favourite manager in my generation, and that's a tall order when we've had Martin O'Neill's and Tommy Burns when I was younger, God rest his soul. This guy is of the same ilk as Tommy, and he knows what it is. I think when you come in and you buy into this club, Rodgers came in and said he's been a fan all his life and all the rest of it. I didn't see that.
Robbie King.
I see more passion. I see more passion and more commitment and loyalty out of Ange in the short time he's been here. And that's why I know I go back on it, but with the Leeds thing, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere, because he's always said it needs to be the right project as well. I don't think he's finished here. He's absolutely fucking... Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. He's absolutely... everything he says just has it. Like Ross said, he's got you hanging on every word. And I don't think he's the type that will say one thing and go and do another. And everything he's been saying in the past 6 months to a year points that he's committed. He loves what he's doing. He's very fortunate to be in the position he's in, and he is. Anybody in that position is. You're at one of the biggest clubs in the world and one of the biggest, most passionate fan bases. And like he says to all his players, I mean, you should think yourself lucky to be in a position you're in. And I think he does. I think he thanks the Lord for that every day. And I'm so grateful that he's honestly so grateful that he's here. I couldn't speak high enough of the guy. I think he's absolute magic.
Well, if you remember, I don't know if you remember, I remember putting a comment up a good few months ago, one of the nights. If you think about it, we wouldn't have had Ange if we got 10 in a row.
Aye, you did.
Yeah.
Aye, we actually touched on it for about a good half hour. It was such a good point, and like, it's crazy to say that.
You think about it, has not winning 10 in a row been good for us? I know that's an absolute crazy thing to say, but the football
took the complacency away.
Yeah, and the football we're witnessing now, we weren't getting that under Lennon.
No way.
You know? So, so that's that. I tried to the positive. Yeah, obviously disappointed. We never got 10 in a row, but we wouldn't have had this guy in charge if we had won 10 in a row. So what do you know? I know it's a crazy thing, but people want 10 in a row.
I totally hear you. I totally hear you. Aye,
well.
What's he saying?
I did want 10 in a row, I have to say.
I know.
By the way, I don't want it to come across like I'm slating Lenny here, by the way. That's not the case at all.
No, I think maybe
I don't think I have done that.
I know. I mean, Lennon's
it's absolutely right. Brown Warrior.
You know, he done fantastic for the club as a player and a manager, but unfortunately, it ran its course.
Yep,
and it
totally agree with you, Jeff.
At the worst time in their probably club's history where we could have made it 10 in a row. And unfortunately,
by the way,
I think he did the best he could have done for the club. Even when he came back in, he did as well as he could have done. I know the results didn't go his way. Mm-hmm. I think he's a good coach. I think he done a brilliant job for us, but I don't think he's anywhere in the league. The guys that have went before or after, and when I say that, it's the likes of Martin O'Neill and Strachan and Ange now. I think he'd be out his depth with you guys, but I'm in no way slandering what he's done for the club. He was like Ged said, I think we're playing the best football I've ever seen in my generation. Obviously, there's going back to the 60s and all the rest of it. There's a certain team that were very, very good, but in my generation, in all my years watching football, even the best teams, Guardiola's teams and all the rest of it, I've never ever seen that he's. Well, that's fair enough, but he that's yet to be seen. He's only been here a short time, Brown Warrior, in my opinion. Next year he could take us there, and then I would say that argument's to the window. But the football we're playing is absolutely. I've never seen football like it. Never. And I know.
Sorry.
No, on you go, Ross.
No, I was just going to say it's a fair comment for Brown Warrior, but in terms of like say Neil Lennon, what he done, he won. I can't mind the exact stats, the amount of trophies he won as a manager and stuff like that. But Neil Lennon was my hero. Growing up, when he was playing at Celtic, and then when he became manager, he was my hero. When he said that this is not the end, this is just the beginning. Everything, he was my hero. But the difference between Neil Lennon, and you can go to his trophies he's won and all the rest of it, but the difference between him and a Martin O'Neill, an Ange Postecoglou, a Brendan Rodgers, the Rodgers Postecoglou teams, they don't have a night where they go to Hamilton and have an absolute stinker and fuck it up. And Neil Lennon's team's done that 3, 4, 5 times a season, even if it's a draw. But they went. I think they went one night and lost at Hamilton 2-1. Postecoglou's team won't do that. I know they lost to St Mirren. Okay, it's one game. Brendan Rodgers went a season unbeaten. I don't think Ange Postecoglou's team do that 4 or 5 times a season.
Just think about what you were saying, though. Think about, like, we're talking about Lenny here, right? You're literally comparing seasons where we went unbeaten and we've lost one game currently. It's incredible the levels that Postecoglou's took us to.
Aye.
And I don't think we're anyone. I mean, I made a great defence of Lenny a couple of weeks back. We all had. Yeah, he was my hero growing up, with Larson, with Hartson, with Sutton, especially him being from here, going through all the troubles he went through. It's well documented. We can all go back and read about it. We can talk about it. And I know Lenny piped up during the week there saying what would have happened or what could have happened if we won the 10. That's all hypothetical. We've moved on from that point. Ged said it. It ran its course. We got Ange after the Eddie Howe debacle. Postecoglou's come in. He's done a fantastic job. And Ross, again, sorry for cutting you off there, but I just found it mind-boggling that we're sitting here going unbeaten season with Rodgers and we've only lost one game with Postecoglou. It's the levels we're at this season. European football needs to improve, but the levels of domestic football is just incredible.
But see, the thing is, right, we're talking about this and we're waxing lyrical about this team and they don't have off days and that, right? And we're all saying, I know it was Russ Bhoys was talking the other night. He was saying, he made an amazing point. He said about, like, some people say, oh, but the domestic football is your bread and butter. You're never going to make that impact in Europe. And he said, but you have to go and dominate the domestic football, and that starts on Sunday. And as much as we've went on that run where we've only lost one game in the league and we're in a cup final, we have to go out on Sunday and follow it up and win that game and win that cup. Otherwise, what has it all been for? I know we'll probably win the league, but you're up against your biggest rivals in a cup final. We all know we're a better team than them, but we have to go and follow it through and do it on the day and win the game. That's it.
Agreed.
In a nutshell.
Brown Warrior, I hear what you're saying. I hear everything you're saying. Nobody's slagging Lennon. We're all saying Lennon.
No.
We all love Lennon. We love what he did at the time.
Yeah.
We're not having a go at him, man.
No.
Right, anyway,
Absolutely
let's move on to the game on Sunday.
There's a game?
There's a game. By the way, we might not see the start yet if we keep going on the way we're going. But
by the way, it's passing the time. What, Jed?
It's a Man United Newcastle game.
Oh, aye, so it is.
It is.
Two teams I hate the most.
Right, so coming to the game, coming on to the game Sunday, I want to look at some of the kind of key battles that's going to happen during the game. I'm going to come to Ross first because he's the biggest Maeda fan that I know, known to man, and he's always talking about how when we play Rangers, Maeda needs to play on the left to kind of neutralise the Tavernier going forward, but also press him going back the way. And I think that's a great point. Do you think? Well, we'll go on to our first 11s here, but do you think that's a key battle, Ross? Do you think that he needs to play and do exactly what you've said? Every other team we play Rangers, and he needs to get on Tav and kind of press him back.
I mean, you know what I'm going to say. I absolutely do. I think that there's maybe there's more than 3 or 4 guys that's definites on the team sheet. For me, I think Maeda has to be a definite, and I get people will make the argument that they prefer Jota coming in off the left. I get it. I personally don't think there's a great deal of difference between Jota coming in off the left and coming in off the right. I think he does every bit as good a job on the right as he does on the left. But I think Maeda is needed on, and people will make the argument Abada could come in. Look what he's done to Barisic. He's done that to Barisic at Parkhead. Excuse me. This is not Parkhead. The last time we went to Hampden, we lost to Rangers, albeit it was an extra time. I just think that, like you've said, I think we need that. As much as we want to play our attacking football, we play our football, we won't change for anybody. I think that right now, Maeda is on the team sheet before Abada. I don't think anybody can argue that. I think Maeda's on the team sheet before Abada. I thought I'd said that wrong there. I don't think anybody can argue with that.
Adaba.
Adaba.
Hey, come on, you guys.
I just think it's imperative he plays for the reasons you outlined, Willie. He scored at Ibrox early on in the game with his pace. He really. I don't think Tavernier's the greatest defender, and I know if you put Jota up against him, we would run rings around him. But I just think that in this game, I think that not only is it imperative for going back the way, but I think at Hampden, Abada has shown recently, and I'm not slagging the guy by any stretch, but in the bigger games, when it's not at Parkhead, he does fall out the game a wee bit. I don't know why. It just could be his age, but I think he's better when we are completely dominant in the game and we're on the front foot all the time. I expect us to have most of the ball on Sunday, but I don't expect us to dominate the entire game. Rangers will have their spells because they're a good side. Let's be honest, they're a good side. They're not as good as us, but they are a good side, and we have to be on our guard with that. And that starts, like we've said, that unit, that defending for the front, pressing Rangers, putting them under pressure, and Maeda does it better than anybody. Abada is a hard worker, but pressing for the front and winning the ball back, he does not do as good as almost anybody in the team. and we need that on Sunday, big time.
Great points, Ged. Do you think that's a fair point? I seen you nodding along when we first talked about Maeda kind of being in there and impressing Tav, but also, do you think he is the first on the team sheet and ahead of Abada or in fact even Jota on the right? Like,
I do think Maeda has been playing great for ages, and Ross made a great point there. He does track back, and that will hopefully nullify Tavernier. I mean, let's be honest, Tavernier is fantastic at crossing the ball in set pieces. That is a real danger, but he's not a good defender. And if you've seen the video someone put together this week, the different clips that we scored goals against him, he's at fault he's involved in a lot of the goals that Rangers conceded against us. He's ball watching, he's not aware of what's going on. But I think another point, I do believe that Taylor and Maeda's got a great understanding going down the left wing.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Because Maeda can come in a little bit and then Taylor goes down the line as well. So I hope Maeda starts on Sunday. But I wouldn't be surprised if he does start Abada and Jota in the wing. I mean, they've done it when that's played. But I hope Maeda starts. If he doesn't start and Abada's play, we're fine.
Aye, we kind of lost you there a wee bit, Ged, but I totally agree. I mean, I don't think we'll be too disappointed if... That's the thing about this team. Like, I think the first 11, if we all... I know we're going to go on to our first 11s after all this, but I think most would say Abada and Jota are the first choice at the moment. But, I mean, if Abada comes in, I don't think anybody would be too disappointed and somebody else dropping out. But, Stephen, I think Ross... I totally agree with Ross when he says about there's this whole clamour for a certain number of support about Jota much better on the left. I don't see it. I think if he's on the left, he cuts in and shoots more. And to be honest, more of his shots hit Rose Ed than fucking hit the back of the net, in my opinion.
Bang on.
And to be fair, I don't think it really matters where he starts because he's kind of got this kind of free role where he kind of roams and hits and gets in the number 10 and his distribution, he's when he whips in the crosses, I think it's better than most in the league. So I like him on the right. I really like him on the right, and that's going to be another battle, I think. Stephen, Jota, if he starts, or whoever starts against Barisic, and I kind of wanted to touch on him because I don't know if you agree, but do you think he's the weak link in that Rangers backline? And you think it's something that we should be focusing on? Because Jota would run rings around them, as would Abada or Maeda or whoever starts.
I think that the weak link that they have is their fullbacks. To be fair, they like the attack. They're not necessarily great defenders. And the issue with the Abada or Maeda or Jota thing is if you start with Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, usually after about 20 minutes to switch it up anyway, to switch wings most of the game. So they're changing and they're not really in a set position. So I like the idea of Maeda being on Tavernier to start because Ged nailed it. Whether we like it or not, set piece delivery, penalty kicks, they get about 1 million penalty kicks a year, do you know what I mean? So he's going to score the majority of them. He is decent like that. But defending, if you looked at the clip of the last goal that we scored against them, the first goal at Ibrox, Hatate, I think, wins the ball, whips it to Maeda. Tavernier's ahead of him because he thinks Rangers are on the attack. He cuts in, gets past Goldson and scores past McGregor. So there is weaknesses on Tavernier's side. For Barisic, for me, I mean, Abada, I agree with Ross. I don't think this is a game to throw him into. I would put Jota on. I think that Jota and Maeda wing play works, at least for the first 60, 70 minutes. And then you look at Goldson, you look at Ben Davis, and I have to be honest, I think Goldson and Ben Davis, they have formed a kind of a solid partnership, so to speak, in terms of one's left-sided, one's right-sided. Davis was linked with us for many of transfer window before he joined them, so there is he's kind of a good player if you want to call him that. But the other issue is Kyogo. We've seen him play against him a few times, and after the first whatever many minutes, he's always injured or he's took off. And although he scored the equalising goal, Ibrox, it's a hard one. But I would definitely start with Jada and Mieta. And if you look at midfield, Hatate, he's a shoe-in with McGregor. And then is it Moy or O'Reilly? That's the big issue here, isn't it? Because we know the back four. We kind of know how they're going to shape up in midfield. That probably Lundstrom comes back in, maybe Raskin playing with Glenn Kamara, a wee bit more defensive on their part. Do you know what I mean? A wee bit of flair with Raskin, but I can see us dominating the midfield. And I know people always say they're physical. I get that, but we're quick in our play. We're smart in our movement. And Hatate is on the left, he's on the right. He's playing as a second striker sometimes, and you have the number 10 on the pitch as well, so you have to pick up multiple players. So it's an interesting game. But yeah, the wingers, and to go back to Willie, definitely Jada and Mieta for me.
Aye, it's interesting because, we'll like I said, we'll get into our starting 11s after we kind of go through the key battles. But I mean, Abada's goal scoring record in these games is, like you said, the fullbacks, the amount of goals he's come in and nipped in at the back post and scored goals for us is interesting. So it's going to be really interesting. I'm glad you came on to the midfield, because you must have been reading my notes before we came on. And that's what we're going to go into next. And Antonius Vorias says, I think the midfield battle will decide the game. They'll try to stack the midfield to starve us of time on the ball. If we have space in the middle of the park, we'll shred them. And that's kind of the next key battle I've kind of went into. And it's sort of the midfield three, Ross. I think a lot of these games that we play, these derby games, they're won and lost in this position in the park, and I know we've not lost many in the last however many years, 6 years or whatever it is. But the ones we have lost, I think we've kind of not got a foothold in the game. And I remember Arfield having a stormer one game in Kamara, and us not coming on the right side of the result. But more often than not, Brunei was absolutely dominating the midfield, and we'd going to be successful. Do you think that that's the midfield battles could be a massive talking point on which way the result's going to sway?
I think the midfield battle is always key in a Celtic Rangers game. What I will say is, I don't think in recent times it's been as key. I've said up to about last year, probably, it's all about the midfield battle. But usually there was a midfield four. I know it's only one player, but I think Rangers will probably play with a midfield three as well.
Yeah.
But it'll not solely come down to that because of the way we play.
It's interesting you say that. Sorry, Ross, just to jump in, because you always said, I mean, at the start of the year especially, the tail end of last year, start of the year, you kind of still always wanted that midfield enforcer. And I still don't think we've got that in our team, but it's not the way Ange plays. And it's interesting how you've said that you don't think that the midfield battle is as key now, because like we've not got that midfield enforcer and we play a different style. Is that?
Well, the reason I say that is because I think when you watch us playing, we obviously do that couple of passes out for the back, and quite often we miss the midfield out with a pass out for the back. It goes wide, and it'll go to one of our fullbacks who are at that point an inverted midfielder, if you like. So you're saying it misses the midfield out, but it doesn't really, because they're then playing as the midfielder, but the midfielders are then a bit further forward. It's not absolutely key, but Rangers are going to try and make it physical. So then you have to say it's going to play a big part, because then we have to be able to mix it up in the middle of the park with what they bring. Lundstrom will put one on somebody in the first minute. That's an absolute, if he starts, that's an absolute guarantee. Yep. We have to be, as much as we're the better footballing side and we're nicer in the eye, we have to be, you know what I mean, up for that. Yep. And I think guys like, they'll be prepared for it, because we've seen it. Ange, the team are no daft. They can football better than us. They'll be ready for that. I think guys like I'm not going to give away too much on my team. So, like say, Hatate, I think
McCarthy.
he can mix it up. McCarthy, but I think Hatate is technical and as good as he is, I think he can mix it up. He's no fear for a challenge. He's no fear for a physical battle. So I'm quite comfortable in the sense that as much as we're easy on the eye, I'm quite comfortable that we will be able to handle their physicality. And I understand Lundstrom will put one on someday in the first minute. He'll get away with it because it might not be the first minute, the first 5 minutes or whatever. He'll get away with it because it's the early one. That's just how it is. You just get away with it, even if it is an outright booking. You get away with it more often than not because it's early. The referee doesn't want to dash out bookings early doors and let the game get away from him, kind of thing. But after that, I don't think Celtic will be leaving it in on Rangers because they'll just play their football and they'll try and take the game away from them that way. But they have to be ready for that physical battle because it's coming.
Yeah. Agreed, Ged. What's your thoughts on the midfield three and if it's going to be a physical battle? But if we're talking about the midfield three, I mean, we've got the two best players in Scotland in there, in McGregor and Hatate, surely. So it's a no-brainer, is it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, just come back. What Ross was saying, a physical battle. Guys, the last two games, we've had 3 bookings. That's all we've had. McGregor got booked in injury time in the 2-2 game, and CCV and Starfelt was booked in the first game, the 4-0 game. We're not a dirty side.
It's interesting.
Give away niggly fouls. But listen, our midfield will look after itself. We know McGregor and Hatate's nailed on. So as a toss-up between Moy and O'Reilly. O'Reilly's played in the last 2 games. So we'll just need to wait and see. But let's turn it round. We know what our midfield is, 3-8-4. So it's not difficult.
Mm-hmm.
What's Rangers going to put in? They don't know what the best midfield.
They don't know. You're bang on.
Let them worry about us. Because they'll be putting guys in. If they play Lundstrom and that Carol Baskins is going to be playing, they've not played together. How are they going to be? So let them worry about it. Our midfield will be fine.
Can't get enough of that Carol Baskins.
Right.
I know, I totally agree, Ged. Stephen, if Carol Baskins isn't chasing tigers or killing her husband, he might be playing on Sunday. But go on, give us your thoughts on the midfield battle and just rant for 5 minutes while I go and do a pee.
Oh, that's no worries. I mean, the midfield battle, as Jed said there, you look at it, they've signed Todd Cantwell, Raskin, they've got Kamara, Lundstrom, whoever plays, other players in that midfield area. So I agree with you, Jed. They actually probably don't know their best 11 yet, never mind their best midfield. For me, like, I look at it for us, and I agree with you, Ross, as well. Hatate needs to mix it up on Sunday. He needs to be physical. He needs to take the punches and go with the game and kind of find his way in that environment, which I think he will. I think he'll be a class act as he's been the last couple of games. McGregor does fit in and be his usual self. That's the way I see it going. And you look at O'Reilly, you're right, he's played the last 2 games, but Moy's been injured apparently. He's been carrying a wee strain or in training he picked up something, so he might come back in. Although for me, I'll put my card to the table now. I wouldn't start him on Sunday, more or less being he hasn't played the last 2 games. So for fitness wise, for freshness, for the continuity of the team, I would put O'Reilly in, at least for the first 60 minutes. O'Reilly got his goal a couple weeks ago, so his confidence should be peaked, it should be high. And it's one of these ones. The midfield battle, as you said, Ross, is like the days of old, isn't it? There's so many ways of playing. As you said, we've got the inverted fullbacks. Taylor becomes a centre midfielder. Johnson comes into that position. Hatate's like a shadow striker. McGregor's playing in the 8. And it's so difficult for teams to pick up. But yeah, I don't know about you, Ross, coming to yourself, but I do have to say one thing, guys. I'm going to have to jump off because I've got a few things I need to get sorted for the baby. Do you know what I mean? So it's been a great show, and it's been a pleasure being back on, and hopefully be on again soon next week. But yeah, here's the Sunday, fellas. I just need to hop off. Stay well and keep safe. Hill.
Listen, take it easy, mate.
Take it easy, buddy.
Catch you later.
I heard I'm talking about Hatate there, and I can't wax lyrical enough about this guy. And you talked about him having a bit of steel and all the rest of it. I think the guy's got everything. I think he can be that I think he's great in the tackle when he gets mucked in, and I always talked about. I remember Ross. We kind of I touched on O when he first came into the team, and how when he came on, he wasn't running about like a headless chicken. Every movement was calculated. And I think Hatate's like that. He's always in the right position, and I just think he's magic. I think he could be the difference between the two sides. Saying that, I think if you match the two squads up, we're far superior. But I want to go on to Ged Kyogo and his fitness. I know he's carried. Well, he was apparently carrying an injury. He was fit to play last week, but didn't start. Do you think? What do you think about the whole situation? Do you think he's fit enough? And even if he isn't, I mean, he pretty much won this same cup last year single-handedly, and he was apparently injured. Do you think it's going to make a difference? And
Kyogo's going to start. I can't see O starting. I mean, like I say, Ange could pull a rabbit out the hat, but I do see Kyogo going to be starting. So if there was any doubt, he wouldn't even have brought him on last week with his injury, with his shoulder injury.
Yep.
So he's going to start.
Aye,
Definitely.
I totally agree, Ross. What do you think about that as well? And like I said, even if he's no fully fit, like last year, he had done. I think it was the same injury. I think it was a shoulder injury last year as well. I think it was similar, and he scored 2 of the best goals I've ever seen in a cup final, and won us the trophy anyway. So he's got the start, hasn't he?
Well, not to contradict you, but I think the injury before the final last year was a hamstring.
Oh, was it?
So I think
Even
we were all
better.
amazed he even. I know. I think we were all amazed he even played, but he played, and then if I remember rightly, after that game, it was a winning performance, won us the cup, but he had about 3 or 4 weeks out, maybe even more after that, and that's when Giakoumakis came into his own, and like before said, you said it yourself, pushed us on to, cheers mate, pushed us on to obviously the second half of the season, Giakoumakis. So at that point, it was a risk, but it paid off, and Giakoumakis deputised and came in. Deputised a bit disrespectful, but anyway, back to the main point. I think Kyogo is 100% fit because he's went off with that injury. It was a shoulder injury. He went off with that shoulder injury last. It was a 4-0 game earlier this season. Giakoumakis came on. We beat Rangers 4-0 at Parkhead.
So
you know, the first 2 minutes it was. So he's went off with that same injury a couple of weeks ago, and I think he would have been fit enough to start against Aberdeen last week. But I think Ange just went, well, let's give O. We're at home. Aberdeen are no going great now. Celtic are. We could have played me up front with the beat Aberdeen, honestly. But
That's right.
Well, I don't know about a hat-trick, but they took one in off the bum or something. But no. All joking aside, I think he was ready to start that game. But Ange, as he does, he's went, let's give O time. We'll still give Kyogo 30 minutes. Keep his legs going and keep him nice and fresh for this game on Sunday. I think he's 100% fit. I think he was 100% fit last week. I've got no fears about him whatsoever.
Brown Warrior agrees with you there. He says that Ange mentioned the fact only needed a start and it worked out well. But I mean, Ange said after that, I don't even think he had any. I don't think he was wanting to bring Kyogo on. But at the time, after the game, he said that John Kennedy came on and says, "Listen, Kyogo's at me and he wants to come on, so you need to put him on for 10 minutes or so." So I agree. I think he's 100% fit. But I mean, the last time we faced the Rangers, Jed, Stephen touched on it earlier on. We started Forest and it was a bit out of the blue. Do you think there might be a surprise inclusion without giving away your team? Do you think there might be any surprises in there, or do you think that we've kind of got? I mean, for me, I think we've kind of got a settled 11, and there's like possibly 2 positions where I think it could go either way. Do you think there might be any surprise inclusions on Sunday?
I think Forrest would be that would be the surprise, but I can't see it happening. The surprise would be O starting or Abada and Jota starting. You've got to mind the last 2 games. 8 of the players played in both games started the 11. 8 players. So they ain't going to be mega changes tomorrow. I think there'll be a couple or Sunday. There'll be a couple of changes from the game against Aberdeen, but that'll be it. I can't see more than 2 changes from the Aberdeen game. I think the team, the spine of the team picks itself now. So it does. I think it's more when I come to it when the team, you're actually looking at the subs now. Who do you pick? Who do you put in the bench? Who do you leave out? So it's because we now, since we've went to the 5 subs, that's helped us big time. So it's the starting 11 will look after itself. It's who's going to miss out, not even making the bench, for me as well.
Aye, that's a fair point. I mean, the options he's got is incredible, and it's interesting because whenever he gets interviewed or he's in his pressers, Ange's, they talk about how difficult it is to pick a team, and he's like, no, the difficulty was before when I didn't hear the options. That he's got options now, but just the same again, Ross. Do you think there'll be any more surprises, or do you think there's a pretty much settled 11, barring one position or 2?
Well, see, to touch on the Forest surprise at the game at Ibrox, I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? But I don't think Jota was available for that game, if I remember right. I don't know why.
Had the cold, I think. He was on the bench.
Aye. So
there was a flu or something a bug going through the club.
Aye. So this is so my point is, I don't think he was available.
Surely it was a surprise that Abada didn't start ahead of him.
Well, that's what I'm going to say. We're talking about we're having that debate whether Abada should start.
Aye.
But he picks Forrest at Ibrox, and at the time before a ball was kicked, I was quite happy because I understood why he played it. He went for Forrest because he experienced for the same reasons that I don't think Abada should start on Sunday, because it's away from home. He gets lost in that big crowd. It's not that he hides, but he doesn't have as big an effect on the game. And I felt that Forrest's experience, it was the same reason why he brought Juranovic on instead of Bernabei. It was the experience of playing in that fixture and that ground. And I think that's why he went with Forrest. But I think it also tells you. Yeah.
Not only that, mate. Not only that, was that Gio in charge at the time? Aye.
Mm-hmm.
Was this
aye. It was a.
Surely the opposing manager would never have thought in a million years that Forrest was going to start that game either. So maybe that was kind of thrown in at the.
Possibly. But I for me, just my opinion, I think that gives you an indication of where Abada is in terms of these big games. And I know he's done it against Rangers, but it's always been at Parkhead. I think it tells you in the big games where it's not at Parkhead, and I know it's not at Ibrox, but it's still that big game where we have not got the majority of the crowd, and at times we're not going to have the ball all the time. I think it tells you where Abada is at this minute in terms of the team, and that Maeda and Jota are well ahead of him. They are the first choice wide men for me right now. And Abada is a class player. What's that?
That's the thing about the squad now. Like I said, I see if Jota didn't start on Sunday and Abada did, I don't think many would be too disappointed. It's just the squad that Ange's built is unbelievable.
Aye, but just touching that comment there, Faye, I'm guessing it's God, I forgot his name. The boy for the Celtic. What do you call him again?
Who?
For the Celtic Supporters Podcast. Del Boy. God, Aye. He's saying we have got. Bring that up again. The comment.
Aye. Bench has got 8 players.
Aye. I agree with that part. I agree with that part. Our squad depth is much better than Rangers, but I don't see I know we're going to touch on our score and all that. I don't see a massacre. The Celtic fans are getting carried away. We are playing really, really well. But you've got to give the other team respect. These are players that got to a European final last season, the most of them, right? And for the first half of the season, they were in a bit of disarray. Things weren't working out with the manager for whatever reason that we're no privy to. But they've got a guy that's came in that they know, and he's steadied the ship for them. There's a lot of good players that can still hurt Celtic. We have to be very careful. I don't believe for 1 second it's going to be a massacre on Sunday. I think that's disrespect, and I think it's naive to think that we're going to destroy them on Sunday, because in my opinion we absolutely are not. But if I'm proved wrong, what the day I'm going to hate. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than a lot of Celtic fans think.
I think I've got Brown Warrior said Jota hasn't given Barisic the same problems as Abada does. I think that's a fair point, Ged.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Abada has been, when he's destroyed Rangers, it has been at Celtic Park. Ross has made a good point.
Yeah.
But at the 2-2 game, Abada came on for Forest in the 60th minute or something, so he had over half an hour. So he did. But can I just say one point as well? It's been bugging me for ages about how they're saying since Beale's came, they've got the same number of points as Celtic.
Aye.
What they seem to forget is Celtic went to Ibrox and didn't get beat. He dropped points at his own ground. So let's put it into perspective. We're still in a better run in them.
And
Absolutely.
in that token, that game, I think they were. I wouldn't go as far saying they were at their best, but they were at a high level, and we were very under par, and we still got a draw at the game.
Well, we were all over them until Hart decided to go walkabout and made the mistake in Morelos.
Aye.
And that gave them the impetus to go out, and it took us ages to recover from that.
Aye.
We were cruising that game until Hart, and that's the worry. Hart does have that in him.
Aye, well, you seen it on was it Saturday at
Aberdeen,
where he was pretty much playing quarterback and he wouldn't even get back in the goal.
I don't know. I think that was a heavy pass back for Starfield, to be fair. I think Hart was where the manager wants him to be.
It was. Aye, that's fair. But I've noted it was more about after that mistake went, and he wasn't actually running back towards his goal. He was pressing better than Kyogo.
Aye, I know he was, to be fair. Aye,
it was like, listen, there's players around about him. You just get back into the goal. But he was like, no, I'm just going to press him like Kyogo. But I think that's a fair point about Abada. I don't know. Do you think that Barisic would far prefer having Jota, who will run at him, but with the ball and try and get by him and get crosses in the box? But Abada's he'll get in behind him or in front of him. We've seen him score goals in that position, get nipping into the back post ahead of Barisic. Do you think he'd prefer to play Jota than he would Abada, Ross?
I think so, because Abada's more direct. He just runs at them.
Aye, and behind. That's what I'm saying. Ross, what do you think? Do you not think he would rather?
He would rather, I think, face Jota, but I do think Jota will do it.
Aye, Jota. I think Jota will run at him and try and beat him. But I just don't think that. I don't know, Ross. Do you think? Like, I think Abada's better nipping into that back post and scoring goals. I don't think Jota's doing that.
No, Jota isn't doing that. I don't know. I can't speak for Barisic, who would prefer to play against. I don't think many guys would like to play against Jota.
Nah.
Abada, if he's ghosting in, then it's Barisic can't deal with that. It's been proven on more than one occasion. But me personally, if I'm never going to be the Celtic manager, but if I'm the Celtic manager, I'm no picking the team on who I think Barisic would least like to face. I'm picking the team on who I think can do the job for us, and for me that is Jota, because you've got that element of doubt Jota's in the game all the time. He's on the move all the time. Abada has moments. Jota, mate, has got the defender thinking all the time, constantly. Abada doesn't take his man on, doesn't hit the byline all the time. He does other things that are different for Jota. He comes inside, he gets shots off for the edge of the box when the ball breaks. But I think in a game like this, in a semi-final, I think Jota offers more as an all-round constant in the team. So for me, I think Jota has to start. Abada is certainly 100% a brilliant option off the bench. Even if it's like we're sitting at 1-0, something like that, to us, obviously. You bring Abada on, he can hurt Rangers in that last half hour, 20 minutes. Yep. But for me, you have to start Jota. I think he's just on the move all the time. He's going to occupy guys, and I think that the main reason as well that he has to start is because him and Maeda can switch. Maeda and Abada wouldn't switch.
That's
I don't think.
Point, aye.
No. Gives him more to think about as well.
Aye, that's a fair point, mate. So, listen, we're rambling on for 2 hours now. Let's get on it. Ged, go and give me what you think the starting 11 would be, or what your starting 11 would be.
Like I said earlier, I think as well with it was the subs I was thinking about as well. The defence picks itself. Hart, yep. Johnston, CCV and Taylor. Midfield, McGregor, Hatate, and I was thinking Moy or O'Reilly. I'm going to go Moy. But it wouldn't surprise me if he puts O'Reilly in. Yep. I'm going to go Moy. And Jota on the right, Maeda on the left, Kyogo up front. But can I tell you guys, on the subs side, because I was thinking, what happens if anything goes wrong? So, Bain's obviously going to be the sub keeper. Yep. Haskabanovic, Abada, Kobayashi, Awata, Bernabe, O'Reilly, and it was between Ralston and Turnbull. And I would think I would go Ralston just in case we have an injury to Johnson.
Mm-hmm. Agree with that.
Subs are going
what
to
a bench though, eh?
Tomorrow or Sunday.
And what do you think, Jed, what's the score prediction?
3-1 because Rangers are getting a penalty.
3-1. Ross, what were you thinking?
Team, it's Hart, Alistair Johnson, CCV. No, I did. Alistair. Alistair Johnson, CCV, Starfelt, Taylor, midfield 3, McGregor, Hatate, and I would play Moy because, and I've heard the arguments that Ged, I think it was Ged made a good point earlier that he's not played the last couple of games. He might not be fully match fit. Yep. I get that. I totally take that on board. If he isn't fully match fit, then don't start him. But if Aaron Moy's fully match fit, the reason I start him is because as good as I think O'Reilly is, I think Aaron Moy keeps the ball better than anybody in the Celtic team in terms of no running with it, but recycling it and keeping it. But also, right now, he's more of a goal threat than O'Reilly. That's why he gets the nod for me. And then the front three, I've said it enough times: Maeda, Kyogo, and Jota on the right. And my score, I'm going to go, and I hope it's no this, by the way. I hope I'm wrong because I don't think I could handle it. But I think I'm going to go 2-1 Celtic in 90 minutes.
I think that you've both picked the same team there, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And you two there, mate. Have a good one. Enjoy. I think I would agree with you both, to be honest with you. I think, like we said, I think it pretty much picks itself. I think the only two positions would be whether Abada is starting or whether O'Reilly is starting ahead of Moy. But I agree with that team. I don't think there's going to be too many surprises. I'm going to go 3-1 as well, Ged. I think that as much as he's like Beale's got the team playing well, they're still conceding goals. All these games are 3-2s. They're winning 3-2s and coming back and all the rest of it. So, and we're attacking threat. I just can't see us no scoring goals. And
When's the last time we didn't, eh?
I know.
The bookies aren't normally wrong, guys, and we're the favourites.
Aye, exactly. Jed, what you doing for the game on Sunday?
Well, I've never got a ticket. I hate Hampden. So I was asked my mates, a few of the boys are going there, but I'm actually going to stay in the house, and myself and my daughter Katie are season ticket holders. We're going to watch in the house, and then we can roar our heads off, or we can cry together, whatever.
Aye.
You know, so I'm not upsetting anybody being in my own house.
Aye. And Ross, you're going to be celebrating hopefully with me here.
Yes. Well, either way, I'll be with you there, getting pushed. But aye, it's.
I'm looking forward to it. Like we said, the whole week's dragged in, and I think that's kind of down to how we've touched on this podcast, the media build up that's been kind of dragging all week and getting you up for it. So I can't wait. I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I really don't. Jed, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure again.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
We always, like everybody's been raving about you in the comments again. Like last week, we'll definitely have you on more often in the future. We really appreciate you coming on. So all the best. Hope you enjoy the game Sunday. Roscoe, I'll see you Sunday too. Mind bring your beer machine tomorrow because I need more than one for all the boys that come in.
Do you need my speaker?
I do. Aye, that one didn't work, guys. So
if you're struggling for a speaker, I've got one.
It's just, see this projector I've got, the picture's brilliant, but the sound off it's no great. So Ross had his speaker round the other day and it was perfect. And when there's like 10, 11 of us in, you can't fucking, especially in Ross, he talks like fucking non-stop, so you can't hear at the top and so you need a big speaker. But everybody's saying
he's saying in my mouthpiece with a drink, mate.
Enjoy, guys. Listen, whatever you're doing, please stay safe. Enjoy the game, and hopefully the boys bring home another trophy for us. Hail! Thanks for sticking with us tonight. Another 2.5 hour job.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.